Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the show today. Very happy to have you here. Seems we might be sans Thundero, but that's okay. If any of you want to jump in here and join me, it'd be most appreciated to have you. Let me go over here to the main main YouTube place here, and let me go ahead and hit that like and share button, please. If you would do the same, let everybody know we are on. Hopefully, everybody had themselves a good weekend. It is a nice, beautiful sunny day finally for me. And I do have a half a cup of cold coffee, so good start. And of course, hopefully everything went well for you. It has been. It was pretty quiet for me. I did go up and do some shopping in the city, and of course, which makes the wife happy. But mainly, it was really, really quiet. And of course, I noticed this as I go over and hit the share on the Twitter that this Andrew Tate fella is making some more noise. I guess he's in America doing something. I have no idea. I know that my son likes him. I've heard him speak a little bit, and he seems like an absolute tool to me. But what do I know? So you guys tell me about this Andrew Tate fella, because I really don't know much other than he seems to. Yeah, no, I know it's like this is a daylight savings, but it was a year or two ago. I decided to just not shift my schedule. Um, because, well, I don't really have time in my schedule, so therefore I won't shift it. But yeah, I wish they would get rid of that. They are working on it, but they seem to have found some manner of consternation in regarding to should it be an hour forward or hour back. Well, how about you just go to what the rest of the world is doing, saying is you're kind of the only ones with daylight savings. Just do what everyone else does and go back to the original time, I would say would be the easiest thing to do. But I don't know. I'm not in the States. I don't know if it creates consternation or not. I know for me it does simply because of my YouTube channel, this spring forward, fall back type of thing. But it doesn't affect me here at all. I don't even think about it. Yeah, and of course I grew up in America, but I don't even. It doesn't even dawn on me anything about the shifting. It's just the day is the day, um, whether it be get dark earlier or later. What is the deal? The deal with that? So he says, Roger says, I have no idea about Andrew Tate guy. Don't follow him. Don't care much about that dude. Yeah, I don't really know much about it. I know he's somehow part of one of the men's movement. I don't know if it's what's it called, MGTOW. I don't know if he's one of those. But I don't know. I've heard some of the comments on that and on that kind of stuff, and I get what's going on. I understand, you know, the frustrations that men in the West are having in regards to the ladies, but it is what it is. And you have some of these guys like Jordan Peterson and sounds like this Take guy and some other ones that are basically saying go out there and make yourself a better person. Get yourself in shape, get your life in order, clean your room, with Jordan Peterson, make yourself successful. If your end goal is to build a family, to get a woman and make some kids, then make yourself worthy of it. I don't really have a problem with that comment, really. I think one of the problems they're running into is the pool of worthy women to choose from is becoming smaller, from what I understand. I'm not in it, so I really couldn't say that. But that's what I understand the general message to be. He's a bit more of a brutal about it, Andrew Tate. But I haven't listened to him at all. There is another guy who's an American who currently lives in Romania. I've watched some of his videos, and his message seems to be pretty spot on. It's far less about the difficulty with women and more about making men better. Lose weight, go to the gym, get in shape, make yourself smarter, improve your financial situation, make sure you take care of yourself first. And like I said, I have no problem with that message whatsoever. That's a good message. You should be doing this. I mean, I think my take on it would be that a message to men is, well, women are born with inherent value, right? Instantly, they're a woman, right? Men desire them, and the difference between the two is men have to earn value. You have to go out there and you have to make yourself worthy of getting whatever woman decides to level out with you. And therefore, a man's value comes later and a woman's value deteriorates with time, where a man's tends to increase unless he's just an idiot, right? So, I mean, that's the reality of life, and it always has been. um, you get a lot of this. I see a lot of these women and feminist men are complaining about older guys taking younger women. And it's like that has always been true. That is the standard. Marrying somebody your age is very modern and very unnatural. It's not how things go. And of course, the reason why we've done this for thousands of years is because what I just said, women are born with inherent value, men have to work and earn it. Therefore, the guy tends to be older before he's worthy of a girl. And that's that. Now, the other problem that comes up with this, current, batch of feminists, and I know that most women find that word offensive, but there's the loud majority, of course, is what you see and hear. Um, the thing with feminists is, as far as women go, they hate women more than anything. That's their main hate. So I mean, I understand there's an issue with that. I'm not in it, so I don't have all the details personally. I can only go off what I'm seeing and hearing. But I do understand to a point there's a problem, but there's also a lot of women who aren't a problem. But the general sentiment of people like Jordan Peterson, that men need to get out there and earn their way, it's a good message. Yeah. Roger says that it looks like to me is the advice that he gives is knowledgeable that should be known and value that should be in men already. Yeah, no, I agree. It's kind of, didn't your daddy teach you that? I guess maybe that's the problem. Not enough daddies. But yeah, it's pretty straight up. Be honorable, be hardworking, be respectable. You know, cool. Like I said, the other issue with women becoming far more sluttish and non-committal and all that kind of stuff. It's a problem, but I also think it's probably not as big a problem as it seems to be because the loud, noisy people tend to get the attention, right? But I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong on that. But I think the idea that men take care of yourself and make yourself a good person and a hardworking, successful person. It doesn't really matter what the women are doing. That's a good message. And I think men getting out there and leading by example has always been the thing. And if you have people like Jordan Peterson and maybe this take, I understand he's far more brutal about his take on women, but if that's the general message, I think men should listen. And like I said, my son seems to like him. And my son is a kid, so I mean he's not really full on a man yet. So I wouldn't be surprised if he made some mistakes here or there, but I did raise him to be logical and wise. So I'd imagine Tate has mostly he's saying the former, not the latter. Anyway, it is a hot button topic, though. I do know that. There are tons of websites that YouTube channels and such that are dedicated to it. Like I said, I do like Jordan Peterson's take. Nevertheless, there are many things to get into today. And, of course, I've been doing kind of the general uptick on what's going on in the world. Seeing as just me today, I will go shorter because mostly I come in here to chat with people and interact. You guys know that. I'm not really trying to create a YouTube channel. I'm more just a chance to speak English for me and, just have some friendly conversations. I don't, Japanese aren't the type of people that make friends the way we do. They have their own system, and that's fine. This is their culture, their country. They can do as they please, of course. But it's not what I'm used to. I'm used to having, I'm an American, so we tend to get together with our friends every week or a couple times a month or something like that. We're here in Japan, they'll get together like once or twice a year, and that's that. They spend the rest of the time working and caring for family, a direct family, which of course is not a bad thing. But I do like coming up here and having chats and just interacting with you guys. And like I said, getting a chance to speak English so that I don't lose it, because that is always a worry. I know it sounds weird because I teach English, and there are a couple of classes that I can mostly speak at normal English speed with normal vernacular. But that's only a couple of them that are close to that. I'd say 80% of it. And when I say normal vernacular, I do mean normal. I cannot carry on a high-end conversation or anything philosophical or anything like that. It's just, it's ESL, English is a second language. So I don't get to speak English just full on without any restrictions or thought, because one of the things you do as an English teacher, and any of you out there who teach language whatsoever who are listening, you know this. Um, each class or each person you're talking to, you will change your meter of speech. You will change, of course, like I said, the vernacular, your vocabulary that you choose to use. You will refrain from using any manner of slang or colloquial English, because what you're trying to do mainly is build up their ear, because that's the most important thing, that they can understand what they're hearing, and to try to improve their sound, and of course to create a stable vocabulary for them, not a complete vocabulary. One of the things I focus on, of course, is trying to encourage them to study prefixes and suffixes, because if they do, they can understand English at a higher level, even though they come across a word that they might not know. Because Japanese schooling system, education system, does do a pretty good job of teaching root words. They do a good job with that for the most part. So that is something I focus on. But like I said, anyone here who teaches any kind of language understands that you're constantly changing your meter and sophistication within your language, depending on the student or students. That's just the job. So, oh, thank you very much, Roger. I appreciate it. But yeah, it's nice to hang out, and I do like it. And of course, there's so much to talk about these days. It's quite easy. Then again, it's never really hard to find something to talk about. I kind of hoping that soon, soon, we will find ourselves in a situation that we're having more happy conversations about cool things happening. Good movies, comic books would be nice if we saw a shift in them, seeing as this channel did start with that. And of course, geopolitics, economics, things like that, which is something I really like. I know some people do and some people don't. But this right now is a very interesting time going on, because we are seeing huge potential shifts. And of course, I think we're all kind of excited and looking forward to positive change, but we're also kind of holding our breath in a way, because we see the absolute chaos that old Donald Trump is creating, which is his style. But is that chaos going to lead to positive change? I feel that it can, and let's see how that works out. But I do have some stuff to talk to in regards to that. So let me go ahead and get up to that. Put that up in case anyone comes in, but I'll go over here. This right here is a photo from Aleppo in Syria. Now, do keep in mind, Aleppo is a very big city. It's built in the old manner, of course, as you can see, but it's truly ancient city. Of course, with Damascus, and we have Baalbek over there, and these cities in this area are from kind of the beginning of this modern written history that we have, and which is around 8,000 years of history, right? Now, we all know that humans have been around longer than that. We know that history goes deeper than that. There are many sites around that predate all of this stuff, going even before the Younger Dryas events that took place back into the rather stable ice age that was going on for quite a while. We know this. We have sites all over the world that are purporting to be, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 years old over in Van Lake, for instance. And we know humans have been around longer than that. So, you know, the true beginning of our stories, our history, and stuff like that, we haven't found yet. We don't really know yet. But as far as what we do accept and what historians do put forward to us, we are looking at around 6 to 8,000 years of written history that we have access to. And Old Syria is part of the beginning and the current writing of such said things. And I cannot tell you how sad it is to go look at a current satellite video of Aleppo, which you can get a hold of. Now, to be fair, with Google Earth, most of those things we kind of automatically in our brain call it satellite, and it's not. They're airplanes for the most part. I don't know if I've ever seen a clip that actually did say satellite. All the ones I see on Google Earth, if you go look at the clip, because keep in mind, Google Earth is a stitched together quilt of photography, right? And if you go look at each one of the things you might be looking at, you can see the picture, and they're usually, like I said, I don't know if I've ever seen one that says satellite. I think they all say from an airplane. Either way, it doesn't really matter. That's where we get it. But we do have recent photographs over Aleppo, and at nighttime, particularly, is incredibly telling, as it is with North Korea and the Dark Continent itself. It is quite literally dark. Not a single light is on. That is insane that is a truthful statement. So, Syria is in ruins. Damascus has seemingly escaped complete destruction, but that's not necessarily true. Now, we had Asara, I think his name is, basically a terrorist who decided to take his costume, his terrorist costume off, trim his beard up a little bit, put on a suit and tie, and say, "I'm reformed. I'm not a terrorist anymore." And of course, it didn't take very long before his very own people are just murdering families, dragging them out of their homes and beating them to death and shooting them in the head. Didn't take very long, did it? Is anybody surprised? Anybody? Of course, the Turks are involved and they're demanding this and that. They're demanding the Americans to have their Kurds that the Americans back put down their arms and join with the terrorist Arab Muslim army that now controls. I think it's called HAS or HSA or something like that. It's just another, you know, acronym or initialism for some terrorist Islamic group, of course. But that ain't happening. Just keep in mind when this new guy came into power, he did not offer any seat at the table for any of the peoples, the Alawites, the Kurds, the Christians, anybody at all. Just him and his terrorist buddies are the ones sitting at the table going to make the decisions. Now, I know the Americans have got stuff going on over there. Like I said, we do back the Kurds. Israel is not even giving a shit what anybody says. Any kind of weapons factory, anything that they get an eye on with their little spy planes, they bomb it immediately. The Israelis are not playing games. But then again, we all know this. And uh, Israel is a little bit on the warpath, particularly because they were hesitant under Biden, of course, because he was withholding, or at least his administration was withholding weaponry, withholding, full backing. Where Trump is like, yeah, go get him. Now Trump is not sitting there dictating do this and that, but he's saying, yeah, I'm gonna back you up. You got all the weapons you want to buy, because keep in mind they do buy their weapons from us, right? Even though Biden was withholding stuff that they already paid for, but Trump is like, yeah, get at it. I'm not gonna hold you up. But it looks like Netanyahu is finally starting to kind of ease into that. Some people say that Netanyahu wants his forever war because it keeps him in power, and those of you who say that are not paying attention at all. You're not. You're not listening to what Netanyahu says. You're not listening to what the other Jews say. You're not listening to anybody, because Netanyahu wants a freaking off ramp, is what he wants. That's the reality. And But he's in a situation, and for the majority of the Jewish people, not all. Keep in mind, Israel is full of woke idiots, right? But for the vast majority of them, they're like, "This is enough. We have backed up enough. We need to end this one way or the other," and that's the situation. But of course, the Middle East is on frickin' fire as usual. Is anyone surprised? And of course, you have Trump and his team that are trying to stamp out the fire. So we'll see how it goes. But it's just sad to see pictures like this. I mean, there are some ancient old cities, but these people can just not, they just can't find peace. And it's really sad. Do keep in mind here, this is Aleppo, of course, but with Damascus, this is where the Arabic invading armies conquered Damascus, took the holy relics from a Christian king, rallied them back to Saudi Arabia, and they ended up in Mecca. Put these relics next to their god Baal and the other evil gods that they worshipped. And then with the Ubayyads, who came out much later, right? They decided to unify under this religion that the people there had kind of intermixed with their own. And of course, this is where we get Islam from, right? It started as a Christian religion. The only difference being in Damascus, the king there and their priests and stuff, of course, they didn't believe that Jesus was the Son of God. He was a holy prophet, but he wasn't actually God. That's the only difference between them and say the many other Christian groups. But that's where it all started. It started here, and ultimately we got this weird, twisted, strange version of Christianity, which of course is a kind of a changed and adjusted version of Judaism. Is where we are, and now we can. There's maps. I've seen automated maps that show the Arabs coming out, and it just goes year after year, and it just little dots of battles popping up on this automated action map, and just watching the spread like a freaking plague, right? And of course, it's still here because they can't get past the point that either you're Muslim or you die. That's their thing. They will rule the world. The Iranian Ayatollahs, they have never stopped changing this tune, right? Now the Saudis and the UAE and Oman and stuff like that are a little softer because they're all about the money, but their people aren't. right? Qatar, of course, is a wealthier country for sure, but or Qatar, but they're just as rabid. Now, keep in mind they're the ones that are keeping the Palestinian Authority in power, are the Qataris, right? But the whole situation is a hot mess. We know. I given my opinion before. I say we just wall up the Middle East, take every Muslim on the planet, throw them in there, check it back in 100 years. That's my solution. But you know, maybe that's extreme. But nevertheless, this is awful. What a horrible. And keep in mind, Syria, as with Lebanon, is full of Christians. Full of them. There used to be Jews there too. They're all gone, of course. But if you go to all the places where the Muslims are, and how many Jews have died in the past couple of 100 years, it's pretty horrific, right? Nevertheless, let's move on. Hopefully, we'll see some resolution come out of this. But the fact that this new guy, the terrorist, his men are doing terroristic things. I mean, of course they are. Of course they are. Now, moving from one war to another, here's a map of the current situation going on, um, of course, in Ukraine. Now, this is a little bit long ago. This is back. I couldn't find something that was very, very accurate. But to be fair, the map hasn't changed so much until very recently. It seems that the Russians had kind of got themselves to where they had wanted for the most part, and they slowed down, almost as if they were waiting for Donald Trump to come in. But you take that as you will. But as soon as Trump comes in, they start moving again. This area over here, where you see the Donbass, where there's still a bunch of map that's white here, that is going away. The Russians are moving quite quickly, and they're taking land every day. The break into the Kursk region of Russia from Ukraine, an actual incursion into Russia itself, which I think the Ukrainians were hoping that would draw the attention of the Russians, which it didn't, because it was mainly just farmland, and the Russians just kind of left it and dealt with what they needed to do down in Kherson mainly, and Mariupol. But now that they've secured everything that they pretty much want, other than I would argue Odessa, they have reinforced that area and decided to finally deal with it. And of course, we could have 20,000 dead Ukrainian soldiers in there any second, because they've literally encircled them. They have no way out. So the Ukrainian soldiers will either have to fight to the death, or they will have to surrender. And to be fair, I've been paying attention to this since the beginning. Of course, you guys know on this channel, I've been complaining that the press didn't talk about any of the nonsense that came out of the Maidan revolution. And the fact that for 8 years before the Russians went in, the Ukrainians were killing their own people. No one cared. Press didn't care. Right now, to be fair, the Russians didn't seem to care either. It wasn't until it was quite clear with old chucklehead Alzheimer in chief there, Biden, where he's like, yeah, let's put Ukraine, make Ukraine in the NATO, Jack. What are you doing? Just get it done, Jack. Wouldn't even take phone call from the Russians. Then the Russians were like, oh, I guess that's that then. And that's what caused them to go in, of course. Not the death of Russians, although they were making noise about it for 8 years. Nevertheless, so the Kursk region is collapsing. The Donbass is, the Russians are all the way up to the Dnieper, by the way, up to the river. And like I said, I think they have been bombing the port of Odessa quite well. And I imagine that they will eventually take that, seeing as that is a very Russian city. So I thought today, um, time keeps on tripping. Yeah, it does, dude, into the future. But I thought I'd take a moment and kind of mention what Ukraine is, and maybe take a moment on it, because obviously war sucks. and it's horrible. And the we don't know exactly how many are dead total, not just soldiers, civilians as well. But it's close to 1 to 2 million people, right? We know millions of Ukrainians have been displaced. Not only into Poland and other areas in the region, but of course into further stretching afield places like America. There are a lot of Ukrainians in America, right? And to be fair, go through the system. You're welcome to have be here, be in America. Of course, we've had Ukrainians for quite a while. But I thought I'd give a little kind of update on how we got here. Now, this map is useful for me because you see, there was a a guy about 1,200 years ago. His name was Rurik, and his son Oleg the Wise, and his grandson Igor. Yeah, there you go. Now these were basically uh, Viking kings, right? They were Scandinavian kings. I won't use all the proper terminology because you probably haven't heard the words before, but just to sum it up and make it real simple, they were Viking kings from Novgorod in the north, as if I could pronounce that correctly, up near Ukraine, modern Estonia today, up on the Baltic Sea, way up north. And of course, they were using river systems, not only the Dnieper, but another one, and they were bringing their goods from up in Scandinavia and stuff, coming down through these rivers, getting into the Black Sea, and traveling down to Constantinople, right down to the southwest here. And there was a lot of money to be had, and it was a big deal. And that went on, was going on for quite a while. But of course, they had difficulty moving down this river the whole way, and they had to deal with the local people, and they had to build forts and all kind of stuff. And of course, up in the north, on the at the beginning of the river, was their main. At the mouth up there in the Baltic Sea, they had a big city, and that was really where the power was. That's where it was. But way down here, before they get into the Black Sea, they did have another fort set up in Kiev Rus, right? And it just means Rus means red, Kiev means wall, so red wall is what it means. And of course, they had to build a big old wall around it because the local people would constantly attack and try to steal from them or attack them and stuff like that. So they had to protect themselves. Now, that guy, he was able to unify everybody, not only the other Vikings, but also the Slavic peoples under his rule, and thus it started. Right now, during this time, um, there was no word Ukraine. Right, we go all the way up to the time of Tamerlane, which of course is uh, Genghis Khan's son, Tamerlane, and his attacks up in this area, and this whole area fell. And of course, their leadership ran off to the northeast to a little place called Muscovy, and thus they fell under the Turkic rule, under the Horde, and of course, eventually that was pushed back by the Lithuanians, and then of course later came their Polish friends, and then of course the Russians ended up taking some control and pushing back, and then of course the fall of Russia to the Soviet Union, yada yada yada, up until 1991. Now, in 1991, the fall of the Soviet Union, many of these little countries declared their independence, including one that called itself Ukraine. Now, do understand, in the entirety of our history, It wasn't until 1991 that a country called Ukraine ever existed. 1991, right? Up to this point, they've always been dominated and controlled by others. Now, to be fair, the others who controlled them, and I could go into a full history of it, but why, right? Just understand that the people who controlled them at one time or another never had anything good to say about them. Matter of fact, they were quite mean and nasty to them. Probably the nicest to them were the Vikings or possibly the Lithuanians, right? And even then, they weren't that. It's all about perception, right? But they said horrible things about these people. They oppressed them. They did all kind of things. Of course, when the Soviets came in, particularly under Stalin, we hear about, oh, there was 10 million dead from starvation because of the stupid Russian nonsense. Well, that was in Ukraine, guys, because they controlled 27% here, right here in Ukraine, right in this map you're looking at, 27% of the entirety of the world's black soil farming, right there. It's amazing how productive it is, and it's always been that way. So, they've been horribly oppressed, to be fair. And occasionally that word Ukraine did pop up here or there, occasionally. And of course, most of their history, they were either known as Kiev or the Dnieper, is what they're mainly referred to. It's the Russians that call them Ukrainians, by the way. But all of that is just to say that the Ukrainian people have suffered a lot. The people in this region have suffered a lot over time. And they're not liked. They are the red-headed stepchild of the Slavic people, plain and simple. Now, why is that? Why do all the Slavs look down on them and hate them? I don't know that. I haven't studied it. That this is not my specialty. I just kind of have a general cursory history of, general book history of the situation over here. But clearly, the other Slavs hate them, and have never have anything good to say. Keep in mind, before the Russians went in, they were called the most corrupt country on earth, Ukraine. And that's saying a lot if you understand the geopolitics of this planet. Goodness gracious. Look at the corruption we're digging out in America, just America. But this was supposedly the most corrupt place. And of course, that's the problem. 30 years ago, they finally got their own freedom and were able to make a country. First time ever. First time ever. Right? And what did they do with it? Coup after coup, revolution after revolution, backstabbing after backstabbing. Every leader who's come in that time is corrupt and has stolen incredible amounts of money. They abuse the people. They murder their own people for various reasons. In the current case, because they dare to be Russian speaking. But keep in mind, the Ukrainians have gone through centuries of being told they're not allowed to speak their own language or write in it. So, revenge. Um, but just absolute corruption and nonsense. You're finally, after centuries, a millennia really, of being beaten about the head and shoulders by everybody around you, you have your own country that is acknowledged by those around you, and you have an opportunity to make your future. And what do you fucking do with it? You burn it down. You think about yourself. You don't care about your people whatsoever. Every single one is just fighting for their own. And I suppose this might be something that has been inbred in deeply inbred in them for a very long time because of the abuse they face. And I'm not taking any of that away because the Ukrainians have been badly treated, very badly treated. But my point is, I really think it's enough. All these areas in red here are all Russian speaking anyway. The rest of them are Ukrainian. And the Russia doesn't want to deal with that crap. They want a buffer zone. They don't want you in NATO. That's their main point. And they've been screaming that for, 30 years. So stop already. Come to the table, negotiate. You're losing thousands of guys right now. It's ridiculous numbers. We could very much see here before I get off this stream 20,000 dead Ukrainians in a single battle. That's very serious business, man. And I just wish they would come to the table before they lose Odessa, because it's the only water access they have left right now, and make a deal and start thinking about your future instead of everybody trying to get what they can for themselves. I mean, goodness gracious, all this time, and look what you do with when you finally get the opportunity. Look what you do with it. It's unbelievable. And by the way, Crimea, none of these assholes controlled that thing. That's always been in other people's hands. It was only recently that it came under Slavic control. That was controlled for a very long time by the Byzantines and, of course, the Ottomans who followed. So they keep saying this is ours historically, left and right. They're both full of shit. It's not true, right? But nevertheless, I'll move on from it. But I mean, come on, guys. You're burning blood here for no reason. The Russians are just grinding you, and you're letting them. Stop it. Come to the deal. Come to the table. Make a deal. Unbelievable. Anyway, let's move on here. And of course, that brings me to Trump himself. Goodness gracious. It's sad because Russians and Ukrainians love heavy metal. They do, Dave. Dave says, like I said before, Metallica should have a free concert there. Dude, that would bring peace and love. It would. Um, to be fair, they are very similar. Everyone keeps saying the Ukrainians and Russians are brothers and stuff, but that's not really true. Um, the Russians look down on the Ukrainians. Everyone does. The Polish, of course, Lithuania is very small now. Everybody in that region looks down on the Ukrainians, and they always have. I mean, if you go back and just study the history, just the cursory history I've studied, they've been called everything in the book, from animals, savages, dumb idiots, useless peasants, just every kind of mocking term you could have for a people, they have been called it by the other Slavic people. The Western Europeans and other people in the world don't really have much of an opinion on the matter, I would think, other than they're incredibly corrupt. But the Slavs hate them. So sitting there saying that the Ukrainians and the Russians are brothers is not really true. In the east, where the Russians now control, there is some truth to that because they are mostly Russian people over there, and Odessa, of course, as well. But yeah, I don't know what the deal with that is, guys. I really don't know why they hate them so much, but they do. They're kicking bag, right? It's just what they are. You know, it's like we're Western Europeans for the most part, and for us it's France because they're French. You know, and that's why the war will continue. Alan says, maybe. I think Trump's pretty serious about wanting to get it done, and there's plenty of people around him who want to get it done. But hey, if they want to fight on, if the Europeans want to fund it and they want to get their own military in there and do stuff, man, have at it, dude. You guys go ahead and murder each other. What's new, right? They've been doing it for centuries. They're banging at each other, centuries. They want to keep it up. Go right ahead. You go have your European war. Have fun. But America, stay out of it. And honestly, most of the world should just stay out of it. If they want to bang at it, let them do it. Let them go ahead, right? I would love to see the war end because people are dying for no reason whatsoever. There's no purpose to this. The deal that was made 3 years ago was a great deal for Ukraine, and they should have taken it. I mean, honestly, the Russians were being very magnanimous about it because the Russians don't want the war. The Russians just want NATO and the West off their frickin' doorstep. That's what they want, and that's why they offered such a great deal 3 years ago. It's like, yeah, yeah, you can go ahead and join the EU all you like. You guys don't even have to recognize Crimea and all that, yada yada yada. And it was a great deal, right? They just were going to lose the Donbass and Lugansk. That's it. Now they're going to lose more for sure. And the whole Crimea thing, I mean, let's be fair. The Maidan Revolution, of course, the Orange Revolution as well. But 2014, McCain up there raising his fist and backing that coup d'état in Kiev, right? And the chaos that ensued after that, with soldiers and tanks messing with Sevastopol, where the Russians have their entire fleet. And keep in mind, they were renting that land legally in a binding contract with the Ukrainians. And of course, the revolution, they were sitting there threatening it, and the Russians like, whoa, 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 back up, back up. And they just annexed Crimea to protect themselves. And of course, like I said, they had a contract. So let's not act like that was unprovoked and came out of nowhere. And no one, oh my God, why did this happen? So, how Justin to try cry on camera? I'm going to. Yeah. But anyway, Trump, Justin Trudeau, Canada. Let me ask you guys a question. Now, Justin crying on camera, I've seen him cry, like 3 times in the past 5 days. So, he is a crier. But we know he's a soft little tart anyway. But here's the question I have for the Americans in here. The Canadians are confused about old Trumpy here because they don't understand. He's puts a tariff out and then he backs it up a little bit. He puts a little more pressure on here, then backs up a little bit over here. Now, I understand he always does this. This is kind of the way his chaos that he creates in his bargaining method. But the Canadians are really confused by it. They think he just doesn't know what he's doing and he doesn't have a plan at all. That's would be very dumb to think that, because keep in mind, it's not just him. There's a very large team of people around him, right? We see the crew he's put together, and these are very successful people, right? But my question is this: what is Trump's end goal with Canada? He seems to be getting what he wants from Mexico because he's been lightening up on them quite a bit. So whatever negotiations they're having behind the table, behind the scenes, he seems to be pretty happy with what Mexico is doing. Now, keep in mind, April 2nd, all of this is moot because the full-on reciprocal tariffs for the entire planet drop. And keep in mind, Canada has several products that they have 300% tariffs on. Understand that. And there are many other places in the world that have, like India, China, huge tariffing, right? Japan. So when the reciprocal comes in, there's not much you complain about it, because it's like, well, you have complete control over the tariff interaction with America. If you want lower tariffs, lower your tariffs on us, right? So that it's all moot in April anyway. But here we sit in March, and the Canadians are losing their shit. They're panicking like crazy. All the kind of threats and aggression. Ford there in Ottawa, it was threatened to just shut off the power, which is kind of dumb because we do have a grid system in that area. We could just simply supplement it ourselves. And of course, there are a lot of things going on that are looking toward adding power to the grid in America as we speak. One of the big things they complain about is that, well, you need our power, you need our factories. It take 5 years to turn around and build a new factory. That's just ridiculous. He'd be out anyway. Why are you wasting billions of dollars? Why are you doing this? Yeah, da, 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 da. Everyone is saying that, but it's like, yeah, but if you don't get it done, it ain't going to get done. And if you get rid of regulations and stuff, you probably get it done in 3 years, maybe 4. But if you don't get at it, it ain't gonna be got. Now, is it? We're not going to have those factories rebuilt. We're not going to have all of the infrastructure come back to America that was wiped out by, basically the Democrats and with Clinton and their NAFTA stuff. 30 years just wiped us out, man. Absolutely just cratered our manufacturing industry. Yeah, and we've had many presidents give lip service to trying to repair it. But you got to get at it. It doesn't matter that it's years away and there's going to be some pain with it. You got to get at it, get it done. And that's what I think is happening, even though that's one of their complaints. But what do you think he's really doing with Canada, guys? free Canadian beer. We don't care about beer, Canadian stuff. Um, what do you guys think? What's your opinion, chat? What's Trump's ultimate goal here with Canada specifically? I mean, the other places in the world and the things he's doing are pretty easy to see what's going on, but Canada is an interesting one because they're no threat to us. We have a very close relationship. It's basically America light. Even though they mock us and they look down on us constantly, we look down on them too. I mean, who started it? Who knows? We did. We'll take the responsibility. We're bigger anyway. But yeah, it's not much of a. There's no issue with Canada per se, but Trump's going at them hard. I mean, he's going at them harder than pretty much any other country on the planet as we speak. Because the China stuff, I know things are going on. I see the response from China and see things going on, but we're not hearing about it. But he's putting Canada right there, boy. He's just throwing that out constantly. He mocks them, calls him Trudeau the governor. Keep in mind, he's out today, and we have Carney coming in as a transition. Of course, a guy who was never elected to anything, all of a sudden is prime minister of Canada. And of course, uh, 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 Jagmeet there, I know it's his real name, of the other party, because they had to create a coalition government, right? Because they didn't have enough votes. He's doing everything he can to delay any kind of election, and now we're looking at it like maybe a year later. So you got to have this guy Carney, who's never elected by any election, to be the prime minister of Canada for a year before they have actual elections, and his ideas are way worse than Trudeau. So, and I know that Canada also is incredibly infiltrated and corrupted by the Chinese government. That's another point. Humble Canada, just to humble them, just simply to put them under the heel. It's true, Dave. If you never start, you can't finish. And this is a problem. A lot of politicians, that's why they fail, because they're always trying to have talks and they talk about it and they talk about it. Just get at it, dude. I don't care if it's going to take years. You can't get there until you start. And that's what he's doing. Everything is starting. And it is going to take a while, right? But he is also trying to remove every freaking regulation in the way of it, though. So he's going to speed it up as much as he can. But yeah, it's just you need to get at it. American manufacturing needs to be brought back. Even if, in the worst case scenario, the whole world boycotts us and everyone goes back to a internal economy like here in Japan, for instance. Well, as far as how they operate amongst themselves. And it's only manufacturing for the American people themselves. Even that is enough. But because right now America can't really produce anything, it's ridiculously how weakened we have become. It's insane. It's insane. And his desire to get that done and bring manufacturing back to America is important. And like I said, he's not the only politician that has talked about that. It's just the other ones didn't have the chutzpah to get at it, where he does. Because clearly, as you can see, he has nothing to lose. But you think it's just simply to humble Canada, huh? Yeah, well, maybe, I suppose. But his opinion and the situation with Canada is interesting because it's a bit more heated than it really needs to be. So yeah, we'll see. It's not important really for us. There are more important things, uh, you know, controlling the border, which they've done a good job of, getting all these illegal immigrants out, which they are on. It's going to be a long process, though, of course. Easier to come in and get them out, right? Um, the attempts to bring peace around the world and the things going on with that, it's great. Um, and of course, Doge. I mean, in my opinion, Doge the planet. That would, how great it would be if we could truly audit the entire planet, because this nonsense that's going on in the few departments we've seen so far is everywhere. This is true, right? And of course, today a federal judge threw out of course, the only things the Democrats have is lawfare, right now, right? And a federal judge threw it out. So now Trump, of course, through Elon and Doge, are going to be getting at the Treasury, the IRS, through the IRS, everything. They were stopped from looking at stuff. Now the bracelets are off, and off they go. So you're going to be seeing a whole bunch more scandalous stuff come out here in the coming weeks, and of course they're going to drip that flow to you, most certainly. So it's all going in their favor, and that's great. A true audit of the American government is long time coming, and it's a good thing. And the great thing about the situation is that Trump and most of the Republicans, of course, have been kept out of it. Right? I'm sure they're going to find some dirty Republicans, but for the most part, they've been kept out of it. And therefore, they're all for just because for them, it's the destruction of the Democratic Party. And, fair enough. But for us, it's more about just simply efficiency and cleaning up and getting corruption out of the government and shrinking the federal government and going back to what it should be, state run business. So I'm here, I'm all day for it. We'll see. So far things have been clicking pretty well, and I hope it continues. Alan says, well, Canada is being really loud a paper tiger. Yeah, it doesn't mean it matter what they say, of course. They think Trump is a joke. I think they do treat us that way. And they've always looked down on us. Like I said, we return the favor. The Europeans always look down on us, and of course, we return the favor. But I think Americans would be happy to like a lot of places, but they do all look down on us, and they always have. We're this upstart, stupid cowboys, and that's how they look at us. Yeah, and the Canadians, which is weird because their history is very similar to ours, they regard us in the same way. Um, like I said, it's weird. But it just is what it is. And I'm sure there's a little bit of king envy there because America is the one that got left on top, right? As we speak anyway. But the Canadian thing is strange. It is. What else is he doing? Mainly that's it, and that's great. And I think there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes we're not seeing. Of course, South Africa. Um, he's just obliterated them. That's not hitting the news as much, but he's taken away every funding we've given South Africa has been removed. He's offered a full refugee status for any farmer and their family who wishes to come to America. We'll help you out. We'll fast track your citizenship. And to be fair, the South African Boer Afrikaans farmers are considered some of the best on earth, right? So it's not going to hurt America none to bring in a bunch of great farmers, right? But I've heard a lot of people talk and make comments about South Africa. I think the big thing is to split it into split the country into South Africa and Cape Town country, whatever they would call it, because the Afrikaans and the English settlers and the other white groups and the colored, which is how they describe it, the mulatto people in that area, they get along seemingly well enough. It's the Butu, the Zulu blacks who aren't even from there are the real problem, and they've always been the problem, right? But the situation in South Africa is wow. I mean, we could have reports coming out of South Africa any day, like we did out of Rwanda, or excuse me, Rhodesia, right? Which they call Zimbabwe now. Um, any day. Just absolute butcher of millions of white farmers could happen any day. It's that bad, right? There are every day, every week, you have politicians and politically minded Butu people in South Africa are calling for the death of whites, dehumanizing them in any way they can. Keep in mind, South Africa has 140 laws specifically against whiteness. Yes, actual racist laws, 140 of them specifically against the white people. In the law, it even states that. That's how racist they've become. Now, some people say, well, apartheid is just revenge and, yada, 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 yada. And it's like, does that make it okay? And of course, keep in mind the the apartheid government of South Africa never had any kind of laws even close to this level of racism. Not even close. This is way beyond the pale compared to what they were doing. Mainly what they did was mostly restrict movement, because if they let the Hutu near them, they would steal, rape, and murder them. So they restricted their movement. That's mainly what the apartheid government did. This government is way beyond racist and way more brutal than the apartheid government ever was. Thank you, Oprah Winfrey. Bono, you did a great job. Hey, Thundero.
Yo, how is the bugbear this evening?
I'm without your leash, I have been on history for an hour.
I see that. And now I'm looking at Don. I'm looking at the Donald himself.
You are. I like
Amazing.
I like this picture. It's a good one.
It's a good picture. It's a good
Yeah.
picture.
We were talking
It's
about
not bad.
what is the ultimate goal with Canada, you think? Because he is slapping them about the face quite a bit.
About the head and face.
He is.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I wish I had a better answer for you, but I genuinely don't know.
I
Uh,
think the chap might be right. He just wants to bring him to heel. Uh, but also, I know, even though the media is not covering it, I know that Canada is incredibly corrupted and infiltrated by the Chinese. I mean,
yeah.
at high levels and at huge numbers. It's bad. And maybe he knows more than I do. Go figure, right?
He is the president, I would hope.
Right.
Um, no, honestly think it's either exactly what it looks like on the face, and he's tired of getting
That's true, Alan.
America getting ripped off and the border to Canada being wide open, or there's a very, very good chance that the people who have suggested that he wants to secure under direct American control the trade through the Arctic, which is a big deal.
It is,
Um,
and that's the whole Greenland thing too.
yep, with the Greenland, because it all makes sense, right? That's the channel right there. So
Yeah.
he wants to get direct control of that for the United States because the only way we're going to get out of this debt is we're going to have to expand. Now, a lot of Americans in America doesn't like this idea, but the reality is, if you want to spend like an empire, you better be expanding like one
Right.
too.
Right.
And we haven't expanded in
A very
80
long time.
years.
Yeah,
I think
long
it's been
time.
something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. And of
Yeah.
course, that a lot of Americans, I don't know about that, dude. If you look at the polling, even the enemy polling,
Yeah.
it seems like upwards of, 70, 80% of America's like, yeah, no, I like what's going on.
Yeah.
So,
No. Yeah. We'll see. We'll
and you're
see.
right. We are seeing a potential shift from a multipolar to monopolar political world.
Yep.
Going from this socialist attempt, this progressive attempt, into old-fashioned imperialism. So we are seeing that. And some people might be scared from that, but I mean, if you read your history, we're actually more stable under imperialism than not. I mean, humans
Yes.
always make war, but look at the 20th century. Look at it.
Yeah.
The absolute devastation and murder of humanity across this planet during that whole time. And it hasn't really, really lightened up, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Um, and that's all under the multipolar, you know, and with the Marxism push, right? And if it wasn't Marxism, it would have been something similar, right? Because that was the
Yep.
shift. You had a shift of them to go this way to try to control, because it's the old argument, right? Do you control the population with the iron fist, or do you control the population through subterfuge? That's the old argument, right? Well, we just spent
Right.
100 plus years under subterfuge, and it was bloody. It was bloody, right? I'm not
Yeah.
saying because the 19th century wasn't great either, but the difference is in the 19th century, we did see a lot of war, a lot of revolution, and because it led
Hmm.
into this multipolar world we have. But that was mostly armies versus armies, right? It wasn't
Right.
huge civilian population loss. It was mainly army clashing, which is traditionally how things go. right?
Right.
But that whole the whole 19th century was a leading into. It was part of the process of us getting into this situation. If we go back before, the Americans and their loudness started all this shit. Things were fairly stable. Every now and then, militaries would clash, right?
Hmm.
But if you weren't in the path of the army as a citizen, it didn't affect you too much. Oh, we have a new king. Oh, that's great. Oh, new leader. Where country is he from? That's kind
Right.
of how
Right.
the way it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Trump is definitely wants to go back to that. It's quite obvious. But yeah, the Canadian thing is a little bit bewildering. But I do know Alberta sent a delegation to the White House, which we haven't heard any reporting on. They didn't put that on the media to talk about Alberta seceding into America. Now, I don't know if they have the votes in Alberta to pull it off. I mean, I don't know. They seem to think they do. And keep in mind, Alberta has been screaming about the nonsense of Ottawa for decades, right? Um,
Hmm.
but if they do have the votes to actually leave and potentially join in America, I hope that Trump takes it. Do you think he
Yeah.
will?
I mean, yeah. I don't see why I wouldn't. If they offer and it's it's ready, willing, and able,
Yeah,
what's Canada going to do about it? Send a strongly worded letter? Like, yeah, let them come.
yeah.
Why not?
Well,
Like
because
I said,
yeah,
if you're gonna spend like an empire, you better expand like an empire.
yeah.
And America hasn't been expanding. We've been expanding our sphere of influence
Oh,
for a
for
very
sure,
long time, obviously.
for
But
sure.
that's not the exact same as full on exploitation of resources. And
No, no,
Ottawa,
it's not.
or Alberta rather, has a lot of them.
It does. It does. And of course, if Alberta comes, Saskatchewan and probably Manitoba will follow very shortly after. And that might just simply be the domino right there. But it's interesting you say like that because I actually was talking to my students the other day, the older ones, the high school kids, and I basically had them ask me a question about anything you like, just not involving Japan because they're so insular here, right?
Hmm.
And most of the kids ask about, random things. But one of the kids actually did ask about a military question regarding Ukraine, I think it was.
Yep.
And, the analogy or the explanation I gave them was this. I was like, all right, so where do we find the Japanese military? Of course, the answer is Japan. Where do we find the French military? Where do we find the German military? Where do we find the Russian military outside of the sands of the current war? The Indian military, etc., etc. They're inside their
Right.
country, right?
Hmm.
Where do we find the American military? I asked them. And of course, the answer is everywhere.
All over the
We're
place.
the only country like that, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, so we need to either shit or get off the pot, really. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really come down to that, and mainly him trying to return manufacturing to America. Like I said, no matter what the future holds, it doesn't matter. We need that. That's desperate anyway. So, and like I said, the Canadians making a bunch of noise, like, "Oh, it's a waste of time. It's going to take you 5 years, 5 years, eh?" And they're going on and on about arguing about that. It's like, well, if you don't get at it, it ain't going to get done. That argument is why we haven't fixed it in the past 30 years, by the way, right? So
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. But I'm cautious still. I do like what's happening. He, of course, is very entertaining. I love Trump and his sarcasm. But I like what JD is doing. In general, I'm happy with what everybody's doing here. And I hope it keeps up. I hope they don't drop the ball. I hope they don't disappoint. I have a feeling they will eventually somewhere, right?
Sometime. Yeah.
But that federal
You would
judge, of
think
course, freeing their hands with the Treasury Department, Pentagon, and all that other stuff. Now they're gone. They're going to the races now, right?
they need to.
They will.
Yeah,
Uh,
honestly, unironically, Trump just needs to take a hint from his favorite president and ignore the courts. Uh, make somebody make the ruling that the courts can actually control the spending of the government, because there's nothing in the Constitution
Well,
that says the court, any court, even the Supreme Court, has the authority to regulate that. The only one who does is Congress, and anything that Congress has given to the executive branch to manage. Uh, that's it. The Supreme Court should have absolutely no say, in fact, on who, or any court, any federal court, on where, when federal monies are spent.
yeah, no,
Um,
no, you're 100% right. And of course, um, this has been the lawfare that has been come at him, but
Yep.
those doors have been closed and they're going to be moving forward. But you're right. I mean, he could do that, but Trump wants everything to be legal tight. He wants to win the right way because he
Yep.
knows he can, and that holds it over them, right? Because they don't fight fair. Alan says Epstein files have been a black eye. Yeah, I guess so. A lot of people are more upset about that than me. But I think that's just something on the side burner that Trump didn't really care much about. Because if you look at the way he talks about it, he's like, oh yeah, get on. We got on that yet? He doesn't really care much about it because it's not. He has more important things to deal with, and he said, yeah, get at it. The problem I think that Pam Bondi and all of them are running into is on that list, and among, because I don't care about the list anyway. What I care about is the video evidence. I don't need to see it. I just need people prosecuted, right?
Yep.
But the problem they're running into, huge chunks of Jews are on that list, dude.
Yes. Yes.
Do I have to say any more?
No. No.
Yeah,
That's what they're afraid of. A lot of people they don't want
big money
implicated
Jews.
for various reasons
Yeah,
are going to be on that list. The list is pretty long. The
yeah.
list is out there, at least a big part of it.
It is, and the
Uh,
list doesn't mean shit. I mean, shit, Trump's on that
yeah,
list. That
yeah,
doesn't. The list isn't important. I don't care about the list at all. People are just kind of focusing on a thing, and that's fine. But what we need is those videos and those photographs. We need the FBI, an honest FBI, the DOJ, to go through that, find every damn person, and bring them into court. I don't need to see the evidence. I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't even think they could legally put some of that shit out. But I want them to get at prosecuting. That's what I want. Some accountability, right? And you guys know because I live outside of America and the rest of the world doesn't think the same way as America does on this. I don't care about these 17-year-old crap. I don't give a shit about that. I know America is litigious in that way, and that's fine. It's America's right to do so. Go right ahead. But I personally don't give a shit about that. I care about the little ones.
yes,
That's what I care about. And the people fucking with the kids need to be fucked with right back.
yeah,
And that's the end of
yep,
the conversation, as far as I'm concerned. I don't need to see anything. I don't need lists. I don't need files. I don't need reports. I want convictions.
yep,
Fair enough?
yep, yep, yep.
There you
Arrest
go.
them, bury them under the prison,
Yep.
whatever you got to do.
Yeah. That's it.
Just be rid of them. Be
Um,
rid of them.
but the real reason is there's a lot of Jews on it,
Mhm.
right?
A lot of powerful, connected
Powerful people, probably
individuals.
people whose names you would recognize,
Yes.
right? And some you wouldn't. I mean, we have obvious people on it. We know the Clintons are involved very clearly. We know the Obamas are involved, but then again, the Obamas are implicated with P. Diddy, right?
Hmm.
We know old Andrew over there is most certainly involved. So,
Oh
but
yeah.
anyway, what else we got with what's going on in the world? So, I covered Ukraine earlier. I gave a history lesson on that, a very, 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 very basic summary. But my point with that is the country known as Ukraine has only existed since 1991, and they went through centuries of abuse, whether they're called the Dompir or the Kievans. It's the Russians that call them Ukraine, by the way. But they were horribly abused. For some reason, they are the the redhead stepchild of the Slavic people. I don't know why that is, but it is. They all hate him. They
Mm.
all say horrible things for him. They treat them badly. They die in the millions over history. It's insane the horrible shit that has happened to those people, right? It's insane, right? And finally, though, after all of that, over a millennia, right? After all of that, they get their freedom, acknowledged by the world, and what do they do with it? They backbite each other, corruption galore, everyone trying to get what they can for themselves. Coup d'etat here, coup d'etat there, revolution here, revolution there. Every country coming in and people, making money. No one thinking about the Ukrainian people. No one thinking about the country that is called Ukraine. Nobody. All of that history of horrible shit, and you finally create a country that is called Ukraine. And what do
Mm.
you do with it?
Yep.
It's for me unforgivable.
Yeah. I
Uh,
agree.
and yeah, and my point is, come to the table, knock this off, because the Russians clearly were waiting for Trump to come in, and once Trump came in, they started moving again, and they're just slaughtering people. You do realize there's 20,000 Ukrainians that could die at any minute right now, right? In the Kursk region, the Russians have completely locked them off,
Yep.
and they
Yep.
either going to surrender or get murderlated. It's that simple. And the Russians did it in such a Russian way. They just absolute blitzkrieg around the edges, but the way it started off is quite incredible. We have all the video footage, by the way. You can go check it out. It's pretty interesting. There's a pipeline, which there's three of them that carry large amounts of oil from Russia all the way through Ukraine into Europe, right? And of course, it's shut down right now. But the Russians are like, okay, send all our soldiers into the pipes. You know how far they, because they are hunched over because you can't stand up in these pipes. They weren't, you don't have to crawl, but it's a hunched walk. 12 kilometers through those pipes, came up on the other side, bombed the shit out of them, went in with drones, took all the bridges out because what had happened was the Ukrainians had mined the bridges in case the Russians came and then they'd blow them. But the Russians, one upped them and just blew up the bridges themselves using the Ukrainian explosives.
Jeez.
I mean, goodness great. Imagine an entire brigade moving through 12 kilometers of pipe.
It's crazy.
It is, and it's also very Russian
Yep.
because the Russians
Yep.
aren't like the other Slavs. People don't seem to understand this. The other Slavs have been very influenced by the Western style of, uh, democratic monarchism, right?
Right.
But the Russians keep the old, Roman faithful imperial thought. Right? A matter of fact, Russia
Mm.
might be one of the few places in the world that still maintains the Roman thinking, right?
Mm.
I mean, purely. It's pure. And they've always been that way. The fist rules, plain and simple.
Yeah.
You do not argue with power. This is the power. If you get in the way of it, you will get run over. There is no negotiation. That's how they think. That's how they've always thought, right?
Mm.
But that's where we are, and the Ukrainians are in really bad shape, dude. It's Whew, goodness gracious. And they're bombing the shit out of the Odessan port, by the way. You see, they sank a British ship full of weaponry for the Ukrainians, and the British are all upset about it. Well, that's what you get, dude. Go ahead and send your 10,000 troops in now. Go ahead. See, and then what are you going to do? You're going to whinge and whine? You just killed 10,000 Brits. Is that
Right.
what you're going to do? All right. I'm with Trump though. I'm like, dude, if that's what you Europeans want, you want to have a forever war, go at it. Go have it. Have at it. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Do it.
Yeah. How
Do it.
was
You
your
won't.
weekend, by the way?
Oh, my weekend was all right. Very little to complain about from my weekend, except this wasn't on the weekend. This was on Thursday. I was helping my buddy with something, trying to open his trailer,
Ooh.
and my finger got caught
Uh-oh.
and split the tip of it
Oh,
right in twain. So I
oh,
have a
that sucks.
giant cut on my ring finger on
Mm-mm-mm.
my left hand,
Oh yeah.
and it's all bandaged up and everything else. The crazy thing is, just was one of those that was so deep, it didn't really hurt. It hurt when I first felt it, right? You know that initial like, but
Oh
then
right. Yeah.
didn't hurt after that. And
I
we were
bet you
at
it
a
hurts now.
McDonald's. No, no, doesn't hurt at all. We were at a McDonald's and collecting some stuff because he has like a scrapping business. I help him out with it sometimes. And so they had some freezers, some big, industrial sized freezers they were getting rid of.
Yeah.
So we were there to collect that, and I sliced my finger, so I had to run into the McDonald's to get some, some toilet paper and what have you,
Mhm.
to try and stop the bleeding.
Right.
And I'm just dripping blood off this McDonald's. I run in there.
Oh,
Well, sorry guys.
sorry guys.
Sorry
Yeah,
guys.
but I mean that's okay. It's an emergency. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I was real young. Um, Elementary school still, I think, or junior high. But
Yep.
it was early morning. I was because I'm always up early with around the same time my dad is. Matter of fact, my dad had just left, but I'm always up early. And there was a weed whacker sitting on the kitchen counter.
Yep.
And being a dumbass kid, I didn't pay attention that the weed whacker was still plugged in, which I don't understand why it was. But it doesn't matter. I touched it.
Nice.
Cut that. I didn't do the tip, but I still got scar from that boy. It was so deep. It was so bad. Of course, I cleaned everything up because if my father found out about that, I'm going to get a whooping, right?
Right.
So what I did was I took a bunch of toilet paper, wet it with salt,
Oh,
and I wrapped up my finger, and I did that for a few days, hiding it from my family. They never know, but it worked, dude.
yeah.
Toilet
And
paper,
it
water, and
burned.
salt will fix it.
It burned like a mug, I'm sure.
I did, but
But then I went next door to we went next door to the gas station, and I was just gonna buy some Band-Aids, right? And just, wrap it up and keep on trucking. But they didn't have any. Luckily, they had some crappy ones behind the counter that the guy just gave me. Yeah, but it was one of those moments like, "Ah, fuck," right? When you do something, you're
right,
like, "Damn it."
something stupid. It pisses you
And
off, right? Yeah.
yeah, and then you're like, "Oh, I don't wanna go get stitches. Does this need stitches?" Because it's like it's right that size where I
Mhm.
probably should, but I'm not gonna. It's too expensive, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
I
If
should
I
have
was in
stitched
Japan,
that.
I'd do it, but nah, I ain't no.
Oh
We'll glue
yeah,
it
it's
shut. I
true,
have it glued
pricey.
shut right now, glued shut with some Neosporin on it, and I have it all bandaged up just because I don't wanna smack it, and maybe reopen
Right.
it.
Sure, sure.
So, yeah, it's
Yeah,
just all covered up. Hopefully, in a few days here, I can just take this off, and we'll be ready to rock.
yeah. Well, I mean, I've stitched myself many times in life, you know.
Yes.
But I had one of those jobs where you kind of get those kind of nicks, right? Um,
Yeah.
some jobs you are way more dangerous and breaks and stuff like that, but the job I had, it's mainly nicks and cuts, right? It's not
Right.
serious, right? So I've always kind of stitched myself or had someone do it because usually you only need like 4 or 5 maybe, right? It's not a
Yeah.
big deal. Um, I think one of the worst cuts I got in regards to that trade, I probably should have went to the hospital for that, but I did stitch it up myself, and that was about I don't know, I forget. It was under 30 stitches. That's a lot to do yourself. Because usually I'm
Right.
used to doing like, 4,
Right.
some little nick and it's wide and gaping enough that throw a little. But they have those little stitch sutures now. Little they're like a band-aid, but they're way more sophisticated. Oh, I wish we
Mhm.
had those things when I was a kid. That would have been great. Those are awesome looking. I
Ah,
never used
they're
one, but
pretty good, yeah.
yeah,
They're pretty cool.
they look
They're pretty
awesome.
cool. Yeah, uh luckily we have because we have all sorts of stuff, but luckily we have some serious band-aids here. We got
Mhm.
the big daddies, and then what I did today is she wrapped it up with the band-aids and then put one over the tip, right? So I basically have two on, and then I took a hair tie and wrapped it around my finger just to make sure the band-aids stay on. And yeah, so we're locked and loaded here. We're locked and loaded.
Yeah, no.
Couple days, I'll take it off and take a look at it and see. Hopefully, it closes up enough that I don't have to put a stitch in it because I really don't want to because it's too damn expensive in America to go to the hospital unless you have to,
Like I
or
said,
go
you
to
could do
even
it
a doctor
yourself. You could do it
as you have
yourself.
to. I could. She could do it, but
Yeah, you let her do
I
it.
don't know.
Yeah. I've had other
I don't know.
people
We'll see.
stitch me before, and I've done it myself. It's the fear of doing it is the problem. When
Yeah.
you're actually doing, it's not that big a deal. It's really not. Like I said, I've done it many times. Just get a small needle and get the proper needle. Make sure it's clean. But like I said, you got these sutures now that are amazing. I saw one the other day. It's a brand new one, but it you know how normally you take one piece of the band-aid off, you put it on, and then you kind of roll the other one other side on. Well, they have one
Yeah.
now, you do something similar, but you pull across, and what it does, you lock it down, and the pulling across actually, because you put some peroxide or Neosporin or something like that in the cut, and you pull it across, and what it does is literally suture the whole thing closed.
Yep.
It's something that's like, why didn't we think of that a freaking 100 years ago? But it's one of those things. But yeah, no, that technology has improved quite a bit. Like I said, I wish we had it when I was a kid because all I had was gauze. So,
Yes.
and I was in a job that involves lots of nicks and cuts. So, oh well. I've
Oh
actually gotten
well.
nicks and cuts from the frickin' strippers.
With the strippers.
Oh yeah, drugs. Drugs and alcohol
I
should
see.
never be mixed. Just so you know.
That's true.
Yeah. But I've many a time had to pick up a crazy ass stripper and then carry her off stage because she's pissed off because, so I mean, literally, you're sitting there putting your pussy in guys' faces, and you get upset that a guy sticks his finger somewhere. He's not supposed to, and that's why we're there, and he gets kicked out. But I mean, it's like, are you really, really going to get that upset about it? But boy, do they.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I've had to
Ah.
carry a bunch of kicking, screaming, damn strippers backstage on many occasions. The hard
Yeah.
ones is when they get pissed at each other in the oil or mud fights. Because they occasionally will get pissed at each other. It's supposed to be for fun, for show, right? It's just, oh, my boobies came out. That's the whole point, right? But sometimes they get a bit serious about it and they get pissed. Think about grabbing up an oiled up stripper and moving her backstage. You try it.
No. I don't want to.
I
I don't
have.
want to at all.
I have direct experience in such things. I remember one time I was literally doing that, and she's kicking and screaming, and I'm trying to lock her up in a way that I won't lose my grip and just get her off stage. And the frickin' DJ, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was just having a laugh at my expense, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to throw something heavy at him. Anyway, strippers, wonderful people.
You and your strippers. You and your strippers.
Goodness gracious, dude. It
And your sweet, innocent wife still married you. I tell you, must be love.
Yeah,
Must be
but I'm just the protector. I'm not like I'm banging
love.
all of them.
Chester, you were around strippers for 12 straight
I
years
was.
on a regular
I
basis.
was,
You are
yeah.
a degenerate, sir.
How? I was the guardian, sir.
You are the guardian of the degenerates. You
I
might even, in
was.
fact, be worse than the degenerates.
Is
You are
it?
protecting them.
No, no, no. I hold the gate. Yeah, no, I've seen a lot of crazy ass shit, man. Because they are quite degenerate. I mean, you do get some of them who are literally just picking up money to pay tuition and stuff. Those do exist. And
Yeah.
it's just money making opportunity. It's good money for these girls. And to be fair, if you cape off the drugs and you come in and do your job and let the bouncers do their job, it's a good gig. They make really killer money, way more money than any of you are making.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So I mean, if you take it seriously like that, those girls make killer money. And to be fair, the OnlyFans girls, which people constantly bitching about, and I get why, but if you can make any kind of money doing that, I mean, what a safe situation. Now, I
Yeah.
imagine that a lot of them do have drug troubles,
Oh yeah.
Of course, they are going to have social trouble going forward, particularly the
They
OnlyFans ones
also,
because you can't hide it.
a lot of them are also actual whores as well for
They
the
might
right
well
money.
be, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother conversation. I've seen a bunch of that too, but I wasn't directly involved in that business directly.
Yeah.
But I did see a lot of it, of course, because they do kind of intermix, you know. But yeah, just not a good combination. Stripping, whoring, drugs, and alcohol. Whew, boy, not good, dude. Right? I have
Yeah.
I have definitely had to see many a ambulance show up and take a dead or dying stripper away, dude. It ain't cool.
That does suck.
It does suck a lot,
Does
dude.
suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, drugs are dumb. Don't do them.
They are. I remember I had probably my most shocking response, I guess, was in that situation because I remember when I was a kid, I used to go work with my uncles hunting, and of course they'd have us, clean all the animals, teaching us, and of course I went hunting myself eventually. But for some reason, having a hanging deer and then and opening it, gutting it, skinning it, dissecting it, segmenting it up, portioning it out, um, is nowhere near as traumatizing as finding a dead kitten and me trying to pick it up and move it away because can't leave carcass around, right? And it's so stiff and stuck to the grass, cold, stuck to the grass. This the sound and the feel of the stiff cardboard body, right? That is was more disturbing to me than literally cleaning a deer, right? And I had experience like that with a stripper once. And it came flooding back because I went over to see. I saw her. She was down in the back, literally on the side of a dumpster, like a freaking movie, dude. And she was leaning up against the building. And I went over, check her out, check her pulse, and she was just stiff like that cat, dude. And I don't know what it is, but it hits you, dude. It hits you. It's weird because, like I said, I've dressed many a deer and duck and rabbit and all that stuff I've done many times in my life, but none of that really bothered me. But that bothered me,
Yeah.
and I can't explain it, but it is a thing. Yeah. Nevertheless, yeah, you needed one of those hoods. Okay. But yeah, no, it's I don't know what it is. It's just that moment of death because of course rigor mortis goes away and people don't seem to understand that, but it does go away and then the body becomes, of course it's cold, but it becomes more natural to our senses. But that moment, those hours of rigor mortis that do take place, the body is in such a state that it's just unnaturally wrong to you, even though it's the most natural thing. Anyway, that's dark. Let's move along. Um, So what else is he doing? Trump is dropping some more of his chaos. He did kind of question. I wonder why we promised to defend Japan. I mean, they don't pay anything, do they? That was a statement. That was a statement. Of course, we could argue that well, the Japanese and some other places like that do allow us to have bases in their country. That is a form of payment, isn't it? But
Mhm.
yeah, he upset the Japanese a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. You got any other Trump points you want to make before I move on from Trump?
Nope. Nope.
Good.
He's been on fire. He's been on fire.
He has.
Hopefully he keeps it up, and hopefully we can actually. I hear rumors that he's getting prepared to shut down the Department of Education. Good.
Oh yeah.
It's a bloated bureaucracy that does nothing except make everything worse.
Oh yeah.
He needs to move on from there and just keep on closing them, shut them
Yeah.
down,
Well, I mean,
get
he's
them out of
shutting
here.
it down in the way he can, but ultimately we need uh, congressional oversight involved in this. We do. So the Republicans need to get at it. They need to start getting at it, and I'm sure they
Well,
will.
he's gonna have to start putting his foot on their neck and make 'em move because
Yeah,
they are old and lethargic, a lot of
as
them.
they always are, is why nothing gets done, and this whole shit piles up like it has. Um,
Mhm.
I do know that the Democrats have absolutely burned every damn bridge they have.
Yep.
It's insane how stupid they're being. I mean, you would imagine there'd be somebody step up and amongst them and say, "Whoa, whoa, 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 what are you doing?" But nah, dude, they're just
They're
freaking running
completely
into the
captured.
fire. They are.
They're ideologically captured, and they don't have any way back. So I really don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens at the next election, but it's not looking good for 'em, that's for
No,
sure.
how does it feel around you now? Because you go out into the world every day, right? You
Yep.
interact with the world. You just went to a McDonald's
Yeah,
unexpectedly.
nearly cut my finger off, but,
Right.
um,
So how does it feel? How does it feel?
well, it's weird because 'cause I'm in a red state, so my experience is gonna be different than other people, but I think most people are very much like, especially if you talk to the younger ones, Democrats are nerds, dorks, they're losers. Nobody wants to be one. Nobody wants to be associated with them,
Yeah.
especially the super liberal version of them. And that's a massive vibe shift from just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So they got work to do. But they're trying to recoup Gavin Newsom's image with his little podcast, trying to make him seem more reasonable.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, the problem is they've been completely and utterly ideologically captured. It was them and their flunkies that were pushing all this nonsense all over the place, using taxpayer money to do it, apparently. And this is why um, so much of this stuff has been happening. It's also why they don't have anybody. Like, who do they have? Who do they? Because we I mean, it's obvious it's going to be J.D. Vance and somebody for the Republicans for next president, right? Who do they got? Who do they have that's even remotely popular on the national stage that's going to be able to compete with Vance? Because Vance is he's a beast. This guy, I'm telling you, he might be Chester. He might be our Caesar. He
Maybe
might be.
it's possible.
He could be that guy.
Um,
Um,
honestly, it's laid
we'll
out
see.
very easy for him. I mean, we're not even really begun this administration's term, really.
Right.
But I mean, what are we 6 weeks in? But um, we'll see how it all fleshes out. But in the end, all JD needs to do is just maintain.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy.
Pretty easy.
And
Just don't trip over your own self.
and he's really good speaker. He handles the media better than Donald does, really.
Yep.
So yeah, no, he's AOC and Crockett ticket.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh. Yeah.
ghetto on ghetto. There will be ghetto crime there. I kind of wonder if hair hats would fly.
Yeah. It's interesting. We'll see. They're gonna have to do something. They're gonna have to pull out pull something out of their hat because as of now, they got nothing. One of the most influential, maybe the most influential sport and league going right now, the UFC, as far as like overall culturally influential,
Sure,
is Republican. Like, let's just call it what it
big
is.
time,
It's big time
big
Republican,
time.
right wing, whatever.
That's friendly territory
And
for him. Yeah,
yeah, extremely friendly territory. So that's a huge loss because that's setting the pace culturally.
sure.
The NFL and these other ones are starting to cuck to that, and they're going back to normalcy more so than not. Here or there, there's still problems, but it's definitely a lot different than it was in
Well,
2020. That's
don't
for
get ahead
sure.
of the horse. I got some of that coming.
Yeah, but I had been saying it for years, Chester, that last year was going to be where this stuff really started to wither and die, and it did.
Yeah,
I
it
said
did.
2022, 2024 is
It was
where
stinking
it'll
up the
start to die.
room. It was.
Yeah.
It was.
So we'll see. Hopefully they keep pushing, they keep trucking along.
Mhm.
And then I do think we're getting to JD Vance's time is coming, and it'll
Yeah.
be very interesting. Very
Honestly,
interesting.
if he can get, I don't even think Americans care about the foreign war stuff, although he does. But if he can uh, continue with the immigration thing, which there's no reason he shouldn't. I mean, it's easy enough. Let them do their thing. Um, but if he during his 4 years only truly accomplishes a complete audit of the American government, that in itself will be one of the biggest successes of any president in our history. Just that. So I really hope they just keep. And it looks like there are guns blazing. They're not even thinking about slowing down on that. And like I said, this federal judge's finding just opened the floodgates for him. So we didn't have to get to the Supreme Court in that regard.
Yep.
It's yeah, it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. And the only thing I really hope, and I feel that it's true because of the people he has around him, that mostly they're going to run into Democratic bullshit, right? Democrats, but every now and
Mhm.
then they're going to run into some filthy, dirty Republican, right? And I hope they don't bypass it. Burn them too.
No, they will. I think they will.
I think this
Um,
administration would, whereas say another one wouldn't.
right. No, it needs to end. It
It
has to end.
does.
If we do not burn down what we call the deep state, or at least huge apparatuses of it, it's over. The
Yeah,
country is going to collapse on itself.
yeah,
It's not a question of if, it's merely a question of when.
yeah,
So we absolutely have to do it. There have been people who've been talking about it for decades,
yeah. Oh yeah,
warning that
long time,
that's coming if we don't get
long
this
time.
under control.
Yeah,
And there's been and in fairness, which is crazy, the last person to even attempt to tackle this was a Democrat,
yeah.
which was Bill
Clinton.
Clinton.
Yeah, he
Uh,
did. Yeah. Well, I
the
mean, all of
Republicans
them
have
have
been
fired
talking
more
a mean game about it for ever,
and
and
not
he
doing
got in
shit.
there and actually did it. Yeah.
No, no, you're right. They drag their feet. They're on the firing line all the time. Democrats
Yep.
get away with shit all the time, and Republicans can't, and they're gun shy, right? Where Trump is like, bring it on, right? He has a completely different mindset regarding that, and everyone around him does. I'm surprised that Elon is still as game as he is, because I've always had a feeling that Elon liked the limelight, right?
Mhm.
And he's getting roasted harder than Trump is. Now he hasn't had to go through the legal issues Trump has, but as far as
He would have.
he would have, yeah, the nature of his character. But he's still on board and he's still banging at it. So
You
good for
don't
Elon.
get to be the richest man alive on paper. Um, you don't get to build all these massive companies, some of the biggest ever made, if you are not somebody who likes to fight.
That's
The
fair.
reason why him and Trump, I think, get along so well is because while they're very, very different people, Trump is much more of your traditional businessman,
Yeah,
traditional playboy, if you will. They're both playboys. They're just very different. Go about it differently. Uh, they have very different personalities. They have similarities that are in chorus, and one of them is they both cannot stand to lose. And since they've decided to be allies, that's a very good thing to have in an ally, somebody who refuses to quit. Uh,
yeah.
Elon has shown throughout, whether you like him or not, doesn't matter. You cannot deny that he's perseverant
Oh
because he
yeah,
is. And Trump literally took a bullet to the head and stood up. So I don't know what more you need to see out of this man's resiliency, but I think he just showed it for all the world to see. At almost 80 years old, by the way, bullet to the head and stood up. So that's about as resilient as you're going to get. Not to mention all the nonsense they
yeah,
put him through for 4 years. Um, yeah, so I think there's a harmony between these two on these specific topics, and whether they have, obviously I don't think they have too many interests that align. I think the main one that they have is they both hate bureaucracy. Elon has
yeah.
made that very clear. Trump clearly doesn't like it.
Well, it
Uh,
does mess with their business after all.
yes, it gets in the way of them making that money and making that
Hmm.
cheddar.
Hmm.
They're both builders as well. Like Trump likes to build buildings and big hotels and what have you, and Elon obviously is a builder who likes to build everything.
Yeah, no,
Just
they're
what do you
both
want? I'll
builders.
build your
That is
cars. I'll
true.
build your tunnels. I'll build your rockets. What do you want? I'll
Yeah,
build your robots.
yeah.
He's a builder.
He is a builder. That is true. That is true. We did have an interesting incident outside the White House. Now, keep in mind, there's always some crazy lunatic that's trying to do some kind of nonsense around the White House, no matter who's in it. Right? This
Yeah.
happens all the time. You just don't hear about it. But the last one did result in a bit of a gunfight outside the White House, with some lunatic, right, carrying a gun around Pennsylvania Avenue. I mean, what are you doing, right?
Yes.
But this does happen all the time. It doesn't matter who's in the White House. This does happen. But that one did result in an actual shootout. They usually don't escalate to such a level. Um, I mean, it's not. I wasn't. It wasn't that big a deal to me. I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, it's all real interesting, man. It's exciting, and I hope that the Americans are enjoying it. But let's get into some just fun news here. Here we go.
Russo's latest movie once again destroyed by Rotten Tomatoes. What is that? Oh, is that what is that
Electric
movie?
State. Yeah.
I didn't even heard
Well,
of it.
it's got and I'm going to look at the past three Russo brother films here that have failed here in a second. But uh, I don't know regarding this one because I haven't even heard of it. But I do know that people are kind of getting sick of seeing Chris Pratt everywhere, and
Mhm.
everyone's also equally as sick of seeing this Millie Brown, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Um, there's just too much of both of them. I do like Chris and what he does. You know, I don't know anything about this girl. We know a little bit more about him. But I think that's kind of a big thing. And like I said, I didn't even hear about this movie, Electric State. Have you heard of it at all?
I have not.
Right now, this talks about three failures since Endgame. Now, I would include Endgame in that failure list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though it did make money. Let me take a look at their filmography, if I might, here, and try to refresh myself on what they have done that was actually good. Let me see here. Yeah, let me just put in what is it? IMDb, right? Yeah,
Yep.
Russo brothers, right?
Mhm.
Let me go see now. They are not the brothers who made The Matrix, right? That was
No,
a
no, no. That's the
different pair of
Wachowskis.
transgender gay brothers. All right. So
Yeah.
let me take a look here at the filmography and see what we got. We're going back to 1997. All right. About the same time as the other brothers that made The Matrix. Never heard
Mhm.
of it. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Do you recognize any of this stuff?
I've heard of if you go back down there, I've heard of LAX, the TV show. I remember that. It wasn't on very long,
Never heard
as you can
about it.
see.
11 episodes. Yeah.
Uh, what about Brian? I remember that, but again, same
Never
thing.
heard about
Wasn't
it.
on very long.
Yeah.
Donkey Punch, same thing. Heard of that.
Never heard of it.
The rest of it, I mean, Community. Yeah, that was on for a while. But they
That's
were
where is that
executive
where Chris
producers
Pratt
for
comes
that.
from?
No, no, he comes from
Parks and Rec. That's
Parks
right.
and Rec.
Never
Yeah.
heard of it. Never heard of it. Never heard
Looks
of
like they did a
any of
lot of
this.
TV. They did a lots of
A
TV.
lots of TV. So they're kind of on the Jar Jar Abrams track, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, I haven't heard
Are
of.
you on producer? Because all I see is producer. Go back up. Make sure you're looking at director credit, not producer credit.
Oh, I see. All right, you're right. So
There you go.
let me do this here. All right. So let's do director. You're fair. That's fair. It's got to be similar stuff.
Arrested Development, they directed some stuff on there.
I'd never
I've
seen
heard of
that
Union and
show.
Dupree, but I've never seen it.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Why is that a thing? Um, okay, Winter
So
Soldier,
really, they didn't have any kind of hit until Winter Soldier.
which was a good movie. Let's be
Oh,
fair.
it's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal movie, yeah.
Civil War was not as good, even though it's more highly rated, but
Which is
it
madness,
was
but that's just
watchable.
because of all the
Oh, they
people.
did Infinity War,
Infinity
which
War.
is
Yep.
amazing. Endgame
Yep.
sucked balls. But
Yes.
how much of that was their choice or Disney's choice in the stuff that really did suck about
Well, they were
Endgame?
also doing shit like listening to the actors too much because Fat Thor was Chris Hemsworth's idea. They should have said, no, that's stupid. It doesn't even make any sense. How would Thor even get fat? But they didn't do that instead, and they made it into a running gag for the whole movie that, oh, look, he's fat. Oh, all right. That was
Okay.
it. There was no moral to that story. It never gets paid off, not till the next movie that he's in. Yeah, it was just Just a waste of time, waste of everybody's time. But Infinity War is the best Avengers movie. I don't care what anybody says. And it is the best Thor movie that's ever been made because he's the main character of that movie besides Thanos. It's him and Thanos, literally from
Yeah.
the beginning of the
No,
film,
it's
him and Thanos.
it is good. It is good. Now, Cherry, never heard of it. Here on IMDb, it has a pretty good rating actually. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a horrible rating. So that tells me that this movie must not be woke enough, right? And it's got
Yep.
our little boy Tom Holland somehow playing a soldier and a lover boy. How does a little teeny munchkin girl boy sell sex? I have no clue.
The women love him, bro.
Do they?
Just
Do
like they
they?
did Michael J. Fox back in the day. They love them, their little pretty boy manlets.
Yeah,
I'll
but
never understand why women like men that look like women, but they do.
yeah,
I'll
but
never get it.
Michael J. Fox, it drips with charisma. Tom Holland doesn't.
Yeah, and not as much as Michael J. Fox, especially back then, but he's a charismatic guy. He is.
I see him
He
as a
is.
goofball.
Well, yeah, but that's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. Well,
If you can
anyway,
pull off being goofy in public with confidence, that's charisma. You're charismatic.
yeah, I guess. But whatever. Never heard of it. The IMDb, therefore, the public's opinion is it's a above average film.
Yep.
Rotten Tomato hates the movie. Okay, never say never.
Yep.
Gray Man. Once again, Rotten Tomatoes absolutely hates the movie, which I understand why because I've seen this one, and I'd say 6.5 is spot on. It's a
It's not
fun
terrible, but it's
little
not
romp.
great either.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's fun. It's easy little movie. What's this fella's name here? What's this guy's name? Gossett. What's his name?
Gosling.
Gosling. Yeah, Gosling. And you
Ryan
got Chris
Gosling.
Evans as well. Yeah, it's a fun little flick. If you want a
Does
popcorn
Chris
movie for
Evans
the night, watch
play
it.
a scumbag in that movie?
He does.
Yes, that's all he plays. The only time he wasn't a scumbag in any movie is Captain America.
Right.
Everything else,
He does
he's a
scumbag
scumbag.
well.
It's
He's good
amazing.
at scumbag.
He
But
is.
he is because he is a scumbag in real life. But
He's not even acting.
not even acting. But yeah, this is fine. There's nothing wrong with this movie at all, dude. It's nothing to write home about. It's not like, oh
Right.
my God, I can't wait for the second one. But I'd watch it.
Yep.
I
It's
mean,
also
you
got
know,
Ryan Gosling in it, and he's phenomenal. He's a
yeah,
good
he's
actor.
always pretty solid. You know, even
Yeah.
when he's creepy, he's solid.
I've
Uh,
never seen him put out a bad performance. I've
yeah.
seen him be in bad movies, but I've never seen him be the problem.
No, and in this movie, he is the hero. He's the good guy
Yeah.
in this Gosling, and it's like I
He
said,
is,
it's
in
pretty
fact, the
solid.
gray man.
Yeah, he is. And the he is a gray man. It's a spy movie. The fight scenes are pretty good. Like I said, it's a easy popcorn film for the night, dude. Easy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and
So,
sometimes that's all you need, you know?
mhm,
It doesn't have to be. It's kind of like, I know you didn't really like it because it's not based on the show at all, but that Fall Guy movie, I put in a similar category. It's not a great film by any stretch of the imagination, but I can watch it. It's fun. It's
yeah, but
fun
it's
enough.
woke.
There's things that, well, yes, but there's things that annoy me in it like that, and the fact that at no point does the female, because of course, ever have to take any responsibility or accountability for her
Obviously,
actions. Only him, and it's like, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute here. But regardless, it's similar vein, right? It's something that if there's absolutely nothing on or whatever,
a popcorn
it's
flick.
entertaining
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can
yeah,
watch
fair
it,
enough.
right?
I didn't have huge angst about it. I'm just not interested because I did like the original show, and I don't need a
Mhm.
twisted Hollywood version of it. I just don't need it.
Yeah.
However, with the same vein, the conversation goes to like Roadhouse, and I want to punch people in the face.
But Connor's great. Connor's great in that
Connor was
movie.
just having a good old time. Turn the camera on, let the wild man go. Um,
He's just walking around naked. He didn't care. He didn't
He
give a
didn't
shit.
care. He's a bad actor. Didn't care.
Ah,
And to be fair, the fight scenes in that are really good. They are top
yeah.
notch. And of course, it's because you have frickin' Conor McGregor,
Yes,
right? But that movie insults the memory of Patrick Swayze.
it does.
They had no
Because
plan. They had no idea. That movie has no frickin' character arc at all. The only person who even has a character arc is Conor McGregor.
Yes. He becomes kind of the main character accidentally because he's the only one who has a damn story.
Yeah, and follow him. Let him be the hero. I don't care if he can't act. Just let him go.
I think
Right?
that because I think they're planning on making another one, and I think that's what's gonna happen.
That
He's
should.
not gonna be the main character, but he's gonna get a much bigger role
Why
and
not?
probably end up
Because it's
being,
the only thing worth
the
watching in
co-lead.
that. I just can't
It's
believe they didn't even bother to. It's so fucking cynical.
yeah,
It's irritating, and it's like the original Roadhouse was a movie based upon Zen optimism.
right,
It'll all work out in the end. Calm down. That's the whole point of the movie, right? But in
right.
this one, it's so cynical. Everything's dark. Everything's, there's no positivity at all in that movie other than wild, crazy man Conor McGregor
Walking through Italy naked.
just walking. Well, dude, he's absolutely ripped. I mean, shit. When I was a younger man, I gave a shit about that myself.
No, Connor needs to do more movies with just be that character. He
Yeah.
can be one of those guys. He's the same character in every movie. Tom Cruise has been doing it for 40 years. It works out great. Just be the same guy every time because that guy is hilarious and entertaining as hell, and we know he can kick ass. So just
Yeah.
let him.
Well, what we need. We need I can never remember, it was Guy Ritchie or Guy Pearce. No, Guy Ritchie.
Guy Ritchie.
Guy Ritchie, get up a hold of that guy, put him in one of your movies, please. Put him because Guy Ritchie always has amazing level actors around in his movies,
Yeah.
just really good actors. Have those dudes take him under his wing. I'm sure they'd love him, right? Because most of those guys are dude bros, right? And get the best acting you can out of him. Guy Ritchie, take him under your wing, please. Because if you can actually get him to a point where he can, sell sufficiently the acting, oh man, you can make money off that guy. And of course, we all like Connor. And the thing that's great about Conor McGregor, he's a cocky ass fighter, sure, but you know what?
Yes,
He loves his country,
he does love Ireland.
and he will
He's a
bust
proud
your
Irish
ass. You
boy.
fuck with it.
Proud Irish boy
I
all the
love
time.
that. I respect the hell out of that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he might
Well,
well end up being in the government over there, because the,
that would
the,
be
the
amazing.
Irish are not having anything of it.
Well,
So
I mean, they never have. These are people who are known throughout the world on all four corners of the planet Earth for being belligerent. They're belligerent people.
and
They don't
abused
yeah,
and
and they've been
taken advantage
abused
of.
and oppressed and taking advantage of at levels that I don't know if anybody else can
Well,
talk about.
I use them
And
as an analogy to explain how the other Slavs treat the Ukrainians, redheaded stepchild, right? I
yes,
literally use an
exactly.
Irish.
Exactly. And they've been being mistreated by their globalist government for a very long time now. So hopefully some sense of sanity can return to the Irish because we don't need more insane Irishmen. Nobody needs
Well, they
that.
haven't won that
That's not a
fight
good
yet,
thing.
dude. They haven't won that fight yet.
Not
Their
yet.
government has
No.
been completely co-opted by the globalist
Captured.
DEI nonsense. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Anyway, this movie right here, yeah, it's fine. And the reason why Rotten Tomatoes doesn't like it is because it's a dude film.
That's right.
It's just a
Used to
pure
have
dude
those.
film. There's no wokeness in it at all. It's just a standard spy movie.
Used to have a lot of those, Chester. It's
Yeah,
been a while
yeah.
since
Well,
we just had some good dude films.
I keep in mind I do tend to put things together in line, right? We'll get
Mhm.
back to it. Now this right here is trending very, very, very badly by the critics, and we're going to get into their statements and opinions on it. Now, me personally, I'm not sick of Chris Pratt at all. I
Right.
enjoy Chris Pratt. He's this kind of goofy guy, and he's clearly earned his chops. I've never seen that Parks and Rec, but that dude must have earned his chops hardcore. How many seasons did that go?
I don't know.
Well, I probably can find
6,
out real quick,
7,
can't I?
6 or 7.
Just go to here to
Um,
Chris,
he
and
was I think he was on every season, but near the end he started to, blow up, so he wasn't on it as much. Uh,
he's been a
because
busy
that's what happens.
boy.
Oh, Chris makes that money. Chris is not a lazy man. That is a man who will work. There it is, Parks and Rec.
Oh, here it is. it doesn't.
Oh, that's something else.
No, that's
Go
something
down.
else.
Keep
Here it
going
is.
down. Where is it?
Uh,
Nope, that's just
no,
a
that's a
special.
little. So it was
Where
popular
in
enough
the
to get
world?
spin-off specials. Wow.
Yeah, no, it was super popular. Parks and Rec's fun. You love it. Because
Where is it?
what's funny is I don't know. They made a there's a character on there called Ron Swanson who's basically you. I'm not even kidding. He's
Really?
basically you. He even plays the saxophone. Uh,
Really?
and he's a hardcore libertarian, but he was originally made. The idea was that he was going to be the butt of the jokes because of his libertarianism while they're in this bureaucracy. However, somewhere along the way, he just became the moral compass for most of the show, for the main character of the show, and he basically becomes like her mentor. And yeah, it's interesting. I think you'd like that show actually. It's pretty good, pretty good.
Huh. Let
Where
me
is it
check
though?
here. Parks and Recreation.
Recreation. Yep, there it is. 2009 to 2015. So it was on a while, a little bit, little time.
6 years. 6 years.
But yeah,
Yeah.
he blew up.
116
So
episodes. Yeah. You could tell he
yeah,
put
he
the
blew
work
up.
in. You can see this dude has earned his stripes somewhere.
Yes.
You can see
Well,
it.
he was on that show. He was actually really chubby. He was overweight. He was just the comedy, like the comic relief. He
Yeah.
basically played for a big part of it. He played one of the main characters' deadbeat boyfriends, and then he, things happen, blah 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 blah. But
Wow. I do
this
look
was
like him a little
obviously
bit.
that's him too. That's Ron Swanson. What's funny is Nick is a complete hardcore lib, but Ron Swanson is not. He's very libertarian. And one of the things that they do is even though they're making joke, they're poking at it, but they don't do it in such a way like they would now where they just make it a complete absurdity. If you watch what Ron says and the way he views things, it's completely rational. Even if you disagree with it, he's a completely rational actor when it comes to, the stuff that he does. Because it's kind of funny, he's this hardcore libertarian, but he's the head of a parks and recreation bureaucracy in this small town or this city, a small city. Uh, I just think that's kind of funny, which is obviously why they did it. But basically, he loves to obstruct in, as much as he can to try and stop them from doing things because, he doesn't want the government to do anything because fuck them. That's why.
Yep. Fair enough. I agree with
Yeah.
that. Here is
Yeah,
Ron
no, you would like
Swanson's
it.
best one-liners.
I
This
love
is
Ron
a
Swanson,
canvas
bro.
sheet, the most versatile
Mhm.
object known to man. It can be used to make tents, backpacks, shoes, stretchers, sails, tarpaulins, and I suppose, in the most dire of circumstances, it can be a surface on which to make art. Now, what does he sound like, though? That's how I would say it.
Well, click on him. Click on him. You'll see. If you go, you'll find Ron Swanson is the most popular character from that show. So it won't be hard to find clips of him
All right.
at all. At all. Oh, it's TikTok. He's TikToking. Oh
Everyone
no.
a crisp $20 bill. And every year she gets me something thoughtful and personal. It makes me furious. This year, she outdid herself. She had it installed over the weekend. It's so beautiful. I found this typewriter next to the courtyard dumpster, an old Underwood 5 with original carriage return.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Took her home, polished her up,
Mm-hmm.
bought a brand new ribbon off of electronicbay.com.
Yeah, there you go.
Electronic
Okay,
man.
somebody's got to do something. I'm getting a cluster headache.
Oh, he's leaving.
Let's go. I'm gonna throw it away. No, I'm not. It weighs a billion tons.
What is he typing anyway?
If you sons of bitches try to remove this typewriter, I'll kill you.
Yeah. I love this guy. Yeah, you're
Type
right.
every word I know.
Gotta type every word I
Rectangle.
know.
America.
Megaphone.
He
Monday.
hates Europe too, by the way.
Butthole.
Ron Swanson?
That's me.
My name is George McFadden. I wanted to talk to you about the amount of snow in the parks.
I've been getting a lot of visitors recently, thanks to a stupid, worthless new push to make government officials more accessible to the public.
There is a disturbing lack of benches in Ramsey Park. I want to sit more. And another thing I like is the layout of the hiking trails.
I made this in one of your pottery classes. It's terrible.
This is my hell.
So your department banned me from attending games just because I yell you suck at the players.
According to the complaint,
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
you would
no,
really like Ron Swanson.
yeah, he seems like my type of dude. Um, yeah, that no, don't give a shit, rigid
Yeah,
character, right?
yeah, you would really like Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
I highly recommend you watch that show, Chester. I think you'd like it a lot. Actually, it's pretty good.
Yeah, well,
Pretty
maybe I
good.
should. I
The
just
last
never.
season's
I don't
kind of
watch much
ass,
TV, but
but the rest of it's pretty good. Up until that last season where they kind of go off the rails a bit. But yeah,
well, fair enough. Everything comes to an end. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the reason why they don't like it. Now, Cherry, 37%. We saw the ratings, right? I haven't seen Cherry, but it was 6 something. Gray Man, 6.5, which that's perfect score, right? 45%. And 19% for this. So let's take a look at why the libs hate this movie, other than having Chris Pratt. I mean, to be fair, they hate him. You know, how dare he be Christian or anything like that. Anyway, let's see here. Lack of originality. hmm So, what does that mean? And anything from The Guardian or Looper, why would I care? It's derivative.
no.
What isn't?
Yeah, yes. I don't under. It's one of those things that literally means nothing because it
Yeah.
can mean anything,
Well,
right? Like
everything is derivated for something else. I mean,
yeah,
that's
we
how.
tell what 6 stories over and over again, and that's
Right.
it.
Right. I mean, it's
Like
weird. Um, because it's how the human brain works. I think a lot of people don't understand how your brain works. As human beings, our brain literally is incapable of making a thought from A to Z. I know it's
mhm.
it's a kind of an expression that is used a lot. That's what genius is. No, it's not. Human, not at all. Humans are incapable of original thought. We can only build upon what we've already learned in our life, which is why knowledge, therefore IQ, because that's all IQ is actually measuring, is the knowledge you've gained and the rapidity at which you can regain it or retrieve it, is so important. We literally can't make new ideas. You can only build upon what you have learned, maybe in a new way, but you can't actually have unique thought. That's not how our brain doesn't work this way. So therefore, derivation is in its nature the most human thing you could possibly have. But yet they love to say things are derivative. Isn't that interesting?
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
next. You go ahead and read that one.
Weak storytelling and direction. Critics such as Variety, Digital Spy, and Next Best Picture argue that the Russo brothers mishandled the source material, making it feel hollow and uninspired.
Have you ever heard of Electric State? I haven't.
Nope.
Is it a video game, a book? What is it?
No idea.
No clue. Oh,
No
well,
idea. I'd imagine it's a book. It sounds like a book to me.
maybe.
Maybe it's a game. I don't know. I mean, it could
Well,
be anything.
never
Let's
heard
see.
of it.
Let's look at that.
Failed humor and emotional impact. IndieWire and The Hollywood Reporter claim the film is neither funny nor emotionally engaging. Okay. And
A 2018 illustrated novel. That's what it's based off of.
so it's some woke Jagoff's graphic novel. All right, fine.
Most likely. Overuse of CGI and artificial feel.
Mhm.
Mashable and Digital Mafia talkies. What are these names? Suggests that the movie prioritizes visual spectacle over substance, calling it a trash movie and one of the worst movies of the year. So
Wow.
it's a movie.
It's a movie, yeah, and of course everyone is leaning on digital arts way too much these days, without question. It's a problem we
I
need to
agree.
get
Yeah.
away from. And
But here's my thing though. That most people wouldn't say the same thing about like Dune, the Dune 1 and Dune 2, especially Dune 1 because of the cinematography. So is the cinematography just not very good with the digital assets? or are they just complaining to complain because the movie dares to have a moral that they disagree with?
Right, which we're going to get into shortly.
Yep.
Criticism of its message. Independent UK finds the film's anti-technology stance forced and awkward, reducing it to a simplistic "kids should put their phones down" message. Well, it looks like it is a movie for kids. And when you make movies for kids, it should be simplistic. I mean, let's take a look at Star Wars, one of the most successful movies of all time, right? A New Hope. And are you going to tell me that that's sophisticated?
No.
It's very simple. It's very straightforward. Matter of fact, what saves it is some of the unique ideas like lightsabers and Jedi, and of course the fricking score. But
Mhm.
simplistic isn't necessarily bad, especially if you are trying to sell to a general audience and children, right? Of course, it should be simple. You don't want to be too sophisticated, and we'll get to something that really tries to be sophisticated here in a moment, and let's see how that actually engages. Uh, yeah.
Well,
So
it's like George Lucas has famously said, if you make a movie for 12 to 15-year-old boys, you make it for everybody.
yep.
12 to 15-year-old boys are not sophisticated.
Nope.
They're just not.
Not even as
So there's
sophisticated
nothing
as 12 to
wrong.
13-year-old girls.
No, there's nothing wrong at all with movies being simple,
Yeah.
direct, and to the point.
Not at all.
We don't have to have everything be obfuscated through 35 layers of irony for it to be good.
Now I want you to read the first positive one, and then scratch your head for me, if you would.
Oh, uh-oh. Some positive points. Visual effects and CGI. Wait a minute. Deadline praises the CGI and VFX work, calling it a technical achievement. Now, how can it be both? How can it be both? What's it say up there? Overuse of CGI and artificial feel, but also, wait, they look good. Well, then that's not overused.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Yeah. I think we found the wrench in the gear here. I
Yeah.
think we have.
Yeah, yeah.
Millie Bobby Brown's performance, Mama's Geekly, highlights her as a strong lead who brings emotional weight to the film. Does she? Because I've never seen her be anything than boring. But
She's
she
pretty
is
straightforward, yeah.
the box checker though. She is the token one because she's a girl, and her sexuality is very questionable. So perfect. Put her in. Um, uh, did she do a good performance? Maybe. Occasionally they do pull it out, right? And she's not horrible. She's kind of like for me, she falls in the same category as Anthony Mackie. Very passable but boring, right? Whereas Chris Pratt can literally carry a film on his shoulders, literally. And he earned that shit because that's hard to do, man. We have people like say Scarlett Johansson, right? Most people like Scarlett because I mean, she's been forced to say some dumb things here or there, but in general, she seems like a nice lady. She's certainly pretty enough. And we just kind of want to like her, right? But she can't carry a movie on her own, dude. She really can't. I
Yeah.
mean, it is what it is. It takes a certain skill set, man. And Chris has got it. He's got it in spades. Good for him. Millie Bobby Brown doesn't. She needs help. And that's fine. That's what
Yeah.
a co-star is all about, right? But I haven't seen it. She could do a great job, but I am suspect, especially with the first positive being juxtaposed to the direct opposite negative. What's the last one here?
Hmm. Not terrible, but not great either. Some reviewers, Joe Blow and Mama's Geekly, acknowledge that while it's flawed, rather, it still has some entertainment value.
Well, Joe Blow tends to like movies, but yeah. So it's a normal flick, and actually, technically, it would be above average because if you go back through history and you go through with a fine tooth comb and look at every movie and look at its value to the public, you would find that the majority of movies are actually below average and not terrible.
Yep.
Therefore above
Yeah.
average. So there's probably another 6 movie from the Russo brothers, which seems to be where their kind of sweet spot, right? Just above average. So it's just interesting to me because these guys absolutely bombed a franchise that I was loving. So I got a bit of angst against them myself for different reasons than these guys. But boy, they're just getting smashed in the head though, because I mean, we just took a look at it, right? The simple fact of the matter is, they are getting their butts kicked after Endgame. Now, I don't like Endgame, but it was popular. It was popular. But for me, but they're getting their head smashed in since then, dude. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. So let me go back down here and let me take a look at what's coming from them. Avengers Doomsday, no thank you. Avengers Secret War, no thank you. Untitled Russo Brothers TV miniseries. We have no clue what that is. But this is what they're coming at. So these probably will make a little bit of money, maybe. But then again, Disney's been bombing everything they've done recently. Have they had a hit recently?
Yeah, their animated movie Moana 2 I think made over $1 billion.
It did. It did, even though it was criticized as being quite lackluster.
Yeah.
Of course, the kids' movie. I get it. But do you have any interest in any Russo brothers led Avengers movie?
No.
No.
They haven't showed me any reason to be interested in anything the Avengers are doing ever again. At all.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but it is what it is. Like, and for me, honestly, they named Endgame correctly because it was the end for me.
It was the end. Yeah,
I
that's
have
true.
seen some since then for various reasons, like the Spider-Man movie I watched, and then the wives, Adrian and my wife, wanted to go see Guardians of the Galaxy 3, so we went and saw that. And then I had a coupon. I don't know if did I tell you this? I had a gift card
You did. Yeah.
and so I went and saw Captain America: Brave New World, but it wasn't really out of some grand interest. It was just
Was it
boredom,
great?
to be honest. No, no. It's fine. It's one of those movies that is just fine. It wants to be a lot bigger and better than it is.
Yeah.
It's really a Thunderbolt Ross movie
Right.
more than it is
Did
anything
he put
else.
you in your place as a white man, though? Did you learn your
No, I don't
lesson?
think there's honestly, I don't think there's ever any of that.
Oh,
I'm
really?
trying to think, but I don't think they ever even really lean into it. It's more, I mean, there's some, here or there
Well,
hints
I
about
saw
it,
it in
but
the
it's
trailer,
never,
so there's some. Yeah.
yeah, it's never like overt about it. It's really Thunderbolt Ross is actually humanized a lot. You come to understand why he's making the decisions he's made, and I think a lot of people would actually sympathize with him, especially older men, with what he's done and what's happened. The problems that the movie has are Anthony Mackie is not a leading man,
Nope.
and he's never going to be.
Nope.
It's a shame because I like Anthony Mackie, but he's just not that guy. Uh, the lack of Chris Evans as Steve Rogers is felt heavily, heavily. They had to basically turn him into Iron Man to get him to be able to do anything even remotely close to what Steve could do,
Sure.
uh,
Of course. Right.
which is silly. Um, the he has a sidekick, spoilers, and the sidekick they really want you to like him. He really doesn't achieve that, in my opinion. Uh, he's not. I don't. Some people said he's unlikable. I don't think he's unlikable. I just didn't care.
Right.
He did not. He did not make me care about him at all.
Right.
The fact that it's very obvious that this movie was reshot, and they originally were going to have Thunderbolt Ross be much more almost authoritarian, I'd imagine, just
Right.
by what we
Well,
see.
he's Trump, right?
But by the end, by the final version, there's a little bit of that, but he starts to. They really soften his edges a lot, actually, in a good way. I don't want to spoil it, but uh, I think they did a good job with his storyline. And Harrison Ford still, even though he's 80, he's still Harrison Ford. He's still one of the greatest to ever do it. So when he actually
Yeah.
tries, it's impressive.
Did he try
Always.
in this one?
Most of the time, yeah. I think he wanted to put his best foot forward here as best he could. The Red Hulk stuff is silly because it isn't until the end. but we do get a full Hulk out, which is nice because we haven't had one of those in a long time. Um, yeah, it's not a terrible film. If it's on streaming somewhere, watch it. If you care at all. But if you don't watch it, it won't matter. If you haven't watched the Captain America and Winter Soldier show, you are going to be a little bit confused about some stuff because that black Captain America is in there. The old one, the old guy, whatever his name is, Isaiah, whatever. But otherwise, honestly, you don't really need to know much. The thing that's kind of silly is at no point he's too powerful, right? Falcon is, or
Mhm.
Captain America, I guess is. There's no reason given for why he can do a lot of the stuff he just gets away with. Like, why can he throw the shield with such accuracy and actually bounce it and do all that? He's not a super soldier. He doesn't have the super instincts or super reflexes. Doesn't make sense that he could do any of that, but he does it just fine. Um, Stuff like that. One thing I'll give him is they don't. This is just a spoiler. He doesn't just beat the Hulk. He's not able to do that, and he just straight admits it, which is good because I mean it's a Red Hulk. He shouldn't be able to beat it in a fight.
No
Uh,
way. Yeah.
yeah, it shouldn't even be close, and honestly, it isn't. Um, and yeah, it's just I think actually, Chester, I think you might appreciate the Thunderbolt Ross arc a lot. I think they did a really good job with that
Yeah.
because they could have just made him a straight up white guy, angry old white man, da da
Which
da
is what they
da. And
usually do. Yeah.
there's some of that, and anger is a problem for him, but I think it's understandable when they tell his story. So
Right.
yeah,
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, maybe I'll check it out on the Finnish databases. But
yeah. And
y-
it's there because my brother-in-law was watching it earlier
oh,
when I
there you
went to
go.
his house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why not use the Finnish databases? I mean, you have to wait because they don't come out until they come on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like you can watch it instantly. You got to wait a few months, sometimes a year, depending on the film. Like Disney movies, quite can be quite delayed sometimes, especially animated ones. But yeah, I mean, why not? I do like going to the movie theater, but I haven't been in years. So,
Yeah.
Roger asked if there are any DC animated movies coming out. I don't see much. We've seen the really bad woke Batman that came out recently. Of course, we had Creature Commandos, which had very mixed opinions.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but they're always working on something. And when they're left to their own devices, DC animated tends to be way better than DC live action anyway. Alan says Spider-Man, even though is a Sony property, has been fun. I hear Daredevil is decent, but that is all. Well, it's not getting the reviews you would expect it to do, and I'm not talking about the idiots that don't like men. It's getting from actual reviewers. It's kind of mediocre, but those reviewers are ones that are like, well, let's wait and see. So let's wait and see. And Spider-Man, I haven't really enjoyed it too much, to be honest with you. I admit that the last one was a great family movie. It really was. Especially for taking your kids to see kind of an honorable Spider-Man. That's great. But I'm honestly going to stick with the Tobey Maguire, if you don't mind, at least the first two.
Well, even in that new Spider-Man movie, he's the main. I mean, honestly, he's the standout. Him and
Of course he
obviously
is.
Willem Dafoe,
Yeah,
because Willem Dafoe is,
is William Dafoe. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
But it's. Have you seen it? Did you watch it? I don't
Of
remember if
course
you
I
saw that
watched
one.
it. Yeah, I did. My
Yeah, yeah.
wife and I
It's.
watched it.
I really like that movie. I think because they could have really flubbed, especially with the two other Spider-Mans. They could have really flubbed that, but I like that they made Toby kind of almost like a mentor at the end. Put him in his place a little bit, reminded him who he is. I appreciate that. I appreciate the allowing the older Spider-Man to teach the younger one a lesson. Because they didn't have to do that. They could have easily just had
Yeah.
Tom take the spotlight, but they
Well,
didn't do that.
I
They didn't
think
do
the
that.
problem with it is, and thank you very much, Maple Sheep, for getting my YouTube channel canceled. But uh, I think the problem really is I don't like Tom Holland. I really
Yes.
don't like that little shit. He's a little shit. He's a little cucked out femboy simp. I
Yeah.
don't know if I could be any clearer.
I'll tell you this. I don't know how I feel about him necessarily in it, but the suit at the end of that movie is the best suit that's ever been in any Spider-Man movie ever.
Oh yeah, no, that was good. There
It's
was
so good.
it's a great family movie, dude. I have no problem with it. I'm not going to get into what I don't like, but who cares? Ellen says, "Yep, Toby Defoe and Alfred Molina are the best part of that movie." Well, dude, Alfred Molina is always a joy. Let's
Yes.
be honest, right? I've enjoyed him in so many things, and he's so good as Doc Ock, dude. He's so
Yeah.
great. Yeah, that's what I mean. Those first two Spider-Man movies. The third one, it went off the rails a lot. Fair enough. But the first two Tobey Maguire ones were really great. It was the first time that we, outside animated, that we really got Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
And to be fair, Tom Holland one is a more accurate comic book Spider-Man than Tobey
Mm.
Maguire's.
He's a
But
little
I just
tiny, but
I
yeah.
just can't stand Tom Holland. I mean, you know, he is a full-on progressive woke cuck, right?
Of course he is.
Yeah. Tobey Maguire isn't.
Toby's a dick, though.
Yeah, but what's wrong with that?
Well, I'm just saying that's his character flaw. He's a bit of a prick. Yeah, I saw this. Harry Potter. I'm not even gonna try that nonsense. Closing deal for Severus Snape. Uh, I don't know why we're doing this.
Yeah,
I know Miss Rowling has been, at least allegedly, she's been directly involved with the casting of this. I don't know what she's doing.
right.
There's no reason to do this. First of all, so how are we going to get around the fact that Harry Potter's dad is a very, very white man and he has to very heavily bully this young man? Are we just going to lean into it and call him a racist? We're going to call Harry Potter's dad a racist. That's what we're doing?
Why not? I mean, they kind of
Yeah.
did in it anyway. He's an asshole, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was an interesting twist that Harry Potter's dad was a dick. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Papa Esiedu, he's just so you know, because I actually read these books, right? And they're young adult stuff. It's not something I normally would read, but I read them to my kids because I used to read to my kids a lot when they were kids, right? Because that's what dads do.
Right.
And my kids loved it. My daughter is a mega fan of Harry Potter. She owns several versions of the complete collection, and she absolutely adores Harry Potter. And my son and all of us enjoyed it. It is very enjoyable. I remember back in the day when the whole comic skate thing was kicking off, and Ethan was sitting in the driver's seat, which he completely failed to take the reins up. But I did remember him going on various tirades week after week about how much he hated Harry Potter, and I never understood his argument. It's like, well, you don't have to love it. It is a kid thing, but maybe he doesn't have kids. That's probably what it is.
No, he
But
does.
he
He
does. Yeah,
does.
he
Yeah.
always hating on it. But I mean, Harry Potter is fine. It's one of the biggest IPs in history.
It
Is a
might
mega hit.
even be. In fact, it's huge.
No,
She's a billionaireess
I would. Oh,
for a
she
reason.
is, but I would say Star Wars is certainly bigger than that. Um,
Yeah, as overall, yeah, but just from a book,
overall,
I'd say it's probably the
book
biggest.
wise, it is a mega hit.
Yeah.
That is true. I would, the Bible is certainly ahead of it.
Well, I wouldn't consider that an IP, but sure.
Oh, you don't think the Bible is an IP? Come now.
Nobody owns it.
Oh, yes, someone does own it.
Anybody can print Bibles.
That's true. But one day you never know, baby Jeebus might come calling.
I hope so. I
Where's
wish
my
he'd
residuals,
get on
bitch?
with it. I wish he'd get on with it already
Wish he
because
would. I
Lord,
wish he
send the
would.
meteor.
Yeah.
Just send the meteor.
Yeah,
Get
just
this over with.
deal with it. But of course, the ridiculousness of this, and this is just the last in a long line of nonsense. This is coming out of HBO, I think, right?
Yeah.
They are woking the hell out of this. It's going ultra woke, and there's rumors the next casting we're going to get is with Ron Weasley, and the
Oh
entire
boy.
Weasley family is being race swapped.
course they are.
Right. Now, keep in mind, my point of why I said I read the books, because I did read the books to the kids, is in her books, unlike Tolkien is, of course, another radically powerful IP, right?
Yes.
And Tolkien has an amazing way. He's a better writer than Rollins by a lot, but she's very competent, though. I'm not going to take that away from her. But what Tolkien can do is not really give you much of the description, but yet it's vivid in your head. He really knows how to play on your imagination. He knows how to manipulate it, to the nth degree. Whereas Rollins is much more like the Lord of the Ring, not the Lord of the Rings, the Game of Thrones guy, where he's very descriptive, as is she. They give very,
Yeah.
very detailed description of what everything looks like, and they're good at that. Okay, fine. Therefore, we know exactly what Severus Snape looks like. Precisely, down to his nose, his pale complexion, his greasy long black hair. We know everything about exactly how he looks, and boy, did they hit it with the casting of what's his name here? This is a great actor. Um, what's this guy? He's Die Hard. What's this actor's name?
Alan Rickman.
Alan
Is that
Rickman.
him?
Yeah, thank you. Alan Rickman, great actor. Love the guy. Safe journey, sir. But the way they did the makeup and everything with him, it's perfect. It's spot on, dude. He's exactly what Severus should look like. They did a great job with that. Matter of fact, probably the best thing they did with the movies was the casting. Really, this guy doesn't look anything like Alan Rickman. A little bit, a little different. It's not even the blackness. It's everything. But they're going to woke the hell out of this thing. It's ridiculous. Now, to be fair, they do have John Lithgow playing Dumbledore. Here's an imagination of it. John Lithgow is a badass, an absolute monster of an actor. Don't think it's. I doubt he's going to look as corny as this, but
He is, but he's also 80 years old. Like, how long they plan this show to go for? But there's a lot. If they're gonna do the whole, because the movie's cut out a lot.
Sure.
They're gonna do the books. They're gonna do all of it. It's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while.
That's true.
Maybe
Roger.
even a decade to make this properly. He's gonna be 90 when the show ends. As Dumbledore. I mean, I guess they could recast him, but I don't know. I don't see why you couldn't just get somebody who's 69 and just put a little makeup on him if you need him to look older. Just give yourself that cushion,
Yeah, but I'm just saying, frickin' John Lithgow is a beast.
He is.
He can do anything he wants to do. So I have no problem with this casting whatsoever. Now, of course, that we do know who is playing McGonagall, as well. I think it's Janet McTeer is playing Minerva McGonagall, and this is her. Yeah, I've seen her act before. She's a solid actress. She looks great for the part. They'll have to change her hair color, but that's fine. Easy enough. But she looks
Right.
great. Kind of perfect for a Rowland. Rowlands really likes the prominent noses and stuff.
She does.
So yeah, I have no problem with that. Now we know there's been a lot of wokey stuff. There's going to be a ton of lesbian stuff, I guarantee you. But this guy is Snape just so you can have a black person in the film, even though there are black people in the book.
Yes.
There's Asians in the book.
Mhm.
There are Middle Easterners in the book. There are many different type of people in the book. Why change one of the most pivotal characters to the entire story? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't gotta watch this shit anyway. So, there you go.
We'll see. Looks so silly. Uh, his pallid skin is one of the reasons. Rowling knew what she was doing when she created this character. She knew why she created him to look exactly the way he does, because I'm assuming anyway, she knew exactly what the plan was with him from Jump Street.
Oh yeah.
He's
That's
one of
clear,
the most
obviously.
tragic characters maybe ever written, and
Yeah.
that's why he looks the way he does.
Yeah, she
All of this
wants
is
you to not
intentional.
like him.
Yes. So if if you go with a handsome black man, and that guy's good looking, he's not an ugly guy.
Yeah, that's
What
what
are
I
we
mean.
doing
He's too
here?
pretty. That was my point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
he's
pretty
way
boy.
too pretty. Yeah.
Nothing about him says I was bullied too much. Now maybe he was as a kid, but I'm talking now, his face. Whereas Rickman, you can believe it because he's not exactly a looker, right? He's not ugly, I guess, but he's not a handsome guy. Um, he's not offensive to look at or anything. But you can buy it. You can buy that he had it rough before he got
Maybe.
some more confidence in him,
Yeah.
became a powerful ass wizard. He had a lot rougher growing up than this guy probably did, as far as like in this particular world. So I don't know. It just seems like a completely unnecessary thing. But HBO gonna HBO.
It
HBO gonna
it
HBO.
is what it is, right? And this guy also is actually African. This is not a black man. Keep in mind
Yep.
we use the word black man in America instead of saying colored, right? Because for some reason that's not allowed, even though in most places in the world it is the standard go-to for mulatto people, right? But he's a actual African, right? And he's the type of African that is very short and tiny. Because keep in mind, most black Africans are actually very short and tiny. We have these black Americans, which are mostly Caucasian in their DNA,
Yep.
and they're big. Now, you do have the Congolese, who, of course, are very tall people. But in general, black Africans are very small people. They're the smallest human group in the world, right?
Right.
Even more so than Asians. I know, but it's true. So he's a little teeny guy, which once again, Severus Snape is tall and lean. Now, did Alan pull the lean off? I think with the various draped cloaks and robes that he wore, I think they pulled it off. But he is Severus Snape. Alan killed it. But it's just more dumb shit. They don't learn, dude. They don't learn. Speaking of that,
Speaking of that, here we go. Here we go. James Bond reboot. Amazon reportedly pushing for female 007 and spin-offs. Here's the problem. This could be true. However,
yeah,
I don't know if I buy it anymore.
yeah,
I'll
me
tell you
too.
why. Because Mr. Bezos is starting to take much more direct control over these things.
I'll be
I
back in a minute.
actually believe that the rumors that he's upset with Rings of Power being, dog shit. I believe that that is correct. I've seen the switch up from this man. He's clearly far more. I don't want to say conservative, but he's not quite what everybody assumed he was as far as like his leanings. He just did the big thing with the Washington Post where he basically just told them we're going to stop being a left wing rag and we're going to post more praise of capitalism and things of this nature. Just straight took it over. So I don't see any reason why Mr. Jeff Bezos would be okay with this. They just spent a bunch of money to buy MGM, which effectively got them James Bond because that's who was producing that. Apparently, they had struck some deal with the Broccoli family to get the rights, the full creative control rights over James Bond. I see no reason why you would do that and then do this. It's a very stupid decision.
Yeah.
It will absolutely kill the franchise. Not hurt the franchise, kill the franchise. The only correct choice right now to make for James Bond anything is Henry Cavill in
Yep.
a proper James Bond adventure where he gets to be a little bit of a womanizer. He gets to do all of it. You can tone it down if you're really worried about offending the feminists. I don't know why you are, but if you are, you can tone it down a little bit. That's fine. But it needs to go back to, I would say, at least GoldenEye
Oh yeah.
tone.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
we
yeah.
don't
Absolutely.
we don't need
It's the
this
last good one
overly
we had.
serious. Well, I like Casino Royale, but we don't. But
Yeah,
again,
it's
it's
not
still
bad.
overly serious. It's still trying to
It's
be, Jason
Daniel
Bourne.
Daniel Craig is not Bond, dude.
No, but if you get Cavill in there,
That's a Bond
He even
character.
looks
He's
he even looks
correct.
like Bond.
He does.
Um,
Um,
and I just think you could do something really cool. Like, it's been a long time since James Bond just had a fun movie,
and
right?
he's
These movies don't have to be so
British.
serious. Yes, that helps. These movies don't have to be so damn serious all the time with their
No,
tone and their tenor. You can have it
no.
be a little campy, a little silly.
I don't want to go back
In
to
fact,
Roger Moore though. I don't want to go that far.
well, yeah, we don't need Moonraker. We don't need to go that far. But
Even though that's a
I
fun
think
movie.
GoldenEye,
Yeah,
it is a fun
GoldenEye
movie.
is
I think
good. I
GoldenEye
think
is
you're
where we
right.
need to be.
Well,
Yeah.
I agree. I didn't hear what you said, but I agree.
Yeah.
Because, the thing. Let me give you my take on Jeff Bezos. All right,
Let's see it.
and many of these billionaire techies. The dude probably busted his ass way back in the day when Amazon just started. I remember using Amazon when it was just a bookseller, right? Way back in
Yeah.
the day. I imagine he busted his ass. But he, like all these successful techies, they get to the point where they got a ton of money and they just run around jet setting, right? Having fun, spending their money, and why not? Right? Now, this also juxtaposed next to Elon Musk is very, very stark because Elon could easily be doing the same thing they're doing, but what does he do? He just works his freaking ass. He's obsessed workaholic, and occasionally he brings a girl in to impregnate. So, I mean, they're different. I think Bezos checked out a long time ago, dude. Right?
Yes.
And with Trump coming in and banging heads as he's been doing, all those techies went and it's like, okay, let me come back from the Bahamas, and let me bend the knee. Now, has he
Right.
woken them up? Are they back at the desk actually doing some work? Maybe,
Well,
because the simple, I don't know, maybe not. The simple fact with this is here is the skinny on it. The Broccoli's, and of course here with I can't remember her name, Margaret or
I can't remember her name
I
either.
can't remember her name, but Barbara Broccoli, and of
Barbara,
course
yeah.
Wilson as well. But they've owned that forever, the film
Right.
series, right? And back here some years ago, Amazon, which I really don't think is Bezos, I think it was just the people put in charge of it, where they wanted to woke the hell of it, and we saw what they were doing, and Barbara was losing her goddamn mind,
Yep.
ruining my shit. Right? She was very upset about it. So what did he do? He just simply pushed her out in a hostile takeover and spent $8.5 billion and just said, get her the hell out of here. And he did. Now, was that his decision? Maybe. Probably. I'm sure he signed off on it. Right?
Well,
Was he
it's his money.
directly
I'd hope he
involved? Did
did.
he actually give a shit? I kind of doubt it. I just think this guy signed out a long time ago. Keep in mind, he lost more money than any man has ever lost in a lawsuit ever. And his wife became an instant billionaire, and look what she's doing with it. She's an absolute eyesore, just
Yes.
like Bill Gates' wife. Absolute freaking just shut that woman up, please. Right, but shut
Please,
Bill up
Lord.
along with her. Thank you. But because he's a dick, but he's always been a dick. He's famous for being a dick. At least he's
Yep.
consistent. So that's what happened. Barbara's out, so now everyone is assuming because she was pushing hard, right, to not allow this shit, that they're going to go back to what they were planning before. Bond's going to be a woman. They're going to woke the hell out of it. Moneypenny is going to get her own spinoff. Which why? I mean, really, if you want to do a spinoff of
Literally no one
James
asked for
Bond,
this.
give us frickin' um who's the tech guy?
Q.
Q. Yeah, Q. You want to have a spinoff? Give us a Q. Have a Q thing
Mhm.
where he's running his thing and come up with new technologies and having kind of from away from the spot the MI6 people and him having to interact with them and breaking his shit. That could be a funny little sci-fi spinoff, right? But Moneypenny, the secretary who was only there to kill a minute to show Bond's charisma,
Yes.
really? Anyway, that's their plan. That was the plan. But I didn't hear what you said, but I'm assuming you said that that's probably off the table because it probably
Yes.
is. Because keep in
Yes.
mind, old Bezos boy here has bent the knee.
Yes. Well, he also,
I'll
I
be
mentioned this.
I'll be back.
I mentioned this while you were gone. He also told the Washington Post it's time to get their shit together and stop being a lefty rag. So we will see what happens. I really hope they don't do this to James Bond, but I mean, they haven't stopped with anything else, so why not James Bond? They will absolutely kill it. I hope they didn't think they were going to get their money back for that 8.5 billion they spent on this, because yeah, they won't be if they screw this up. There is great potential, I think, if you make a classic style, GoldenEye tone, maybe even Doctor No. That's too much. Goldfinger tone James Bond movie where it's a little bit over the top, but doesn't go too far. Some of the technology is ridiculous, but it's okay because you can suspend your disbelief a little bit. I think if they go that route, I think they make at least $1 billion, especially if Henry's the guy and they get the right writers, they get the right opening song. That's very important.
Oh
James
yeah.
Bond music's important. You also need the right Bond girls. They gotta be hot. None of this
Yeah.
bullshit. They gotta be smoke shows.
Smoke shows, yes. I'm
bro.
assuming you mentioned the Washington Post article.
I did.
Oh,
I
good.
mentioned the fact that
Good job.
Bezos told them to get their shit together.
Yeah.
Basically,
'Cause-
we're done being a lefty rag.
Dude, he checked out a long time ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, has Trump got him and the alien over there at Facebook and all those people back? Actually paying
here's
attention? Maybe.
Also happened. Here's what also happened is they all got on testosterone replacement therapy, and all of a sudden they found their balls again, because Bezos looks just like Lex Luthor now. He's jacked. He's put on probably about 15, 20 pounds of muscle in the last few years.
Yeah.
And then you got Zuckerberg, who went from a total soy boy android cuck to he's in good shape. He does a bunch of MMA. He does MMA tournaments. Like, he's a completely different man now than he was a few years ago. I think that's a big part of it. I think you're starting to see a return of masculine energy to the world, to the main stage, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
And
no.
hopefully
It would be good. Yeah.
we get Henry Cavill and they just quit. He already works for Amazon, so why not?
Yeah.
Give us Henry
come on.
and quit messing around.
Come on.
Yeah, just do
Come
it.
on.
Pull the trigger.
Look at it.
Pull the trigger.
Look at it.
Look at him.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah.
Pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Give us Henry,
and Henry would
and
love
let's
it.
party.
That's a British icon. He would love it. Yeah. So and I'm sure he would like to be able to do something successful that they don't screw him over on. That would be nice.
It'd be nice.
Yeah.
It'd be nice for once.
It would be nice for once. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. I do know that recently these billionaires have been putting. They all love their yachting, which I get it. But they all have their mastheads, and they've all been kind of competing with each other to have the biggest and most elaborate masthead of their women on their yachts. And Bezos, of course, has done similar with this new girl who is very unattractive, dude.
Yes.
Have you seen her?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know her, and I don't need to give her a hard time, but she looks vapid as hell. But let's see, Bezos's girlfriend. There we go. That was easy. Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get it. Someone explain it to me. Is it a dude? I kind of feel like it's a dude.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Maybe he's gone gay after getting divorced or something, because it looks like a dude.
No, he left his wife for her. I don't understand why these men with all this money, who could have any woman they want, let's be honest, or nearly any woman they want, they end up with these women who are just not
very
pretty.
unattractive. Maybe that in itself is a statement, though. Maybe there's something about her character that he really likes. But she comes off incredibly vapid, though, dude.
Maybe she's just incredibly supportive, and maybe his ex-wife wasn't, and that's really because he's the type of, I mean, he's a self-made billionaire. What does he really need from a woman, other than moral support and sex? Obviously, what does he need? He's built an empire from the ground up. Now, obviously, he's had help, but still, his wants and needs are all satisfied. So the only thing he can't get from himself is emotional validation and support. And maybe she's very good at that. Maybe
I
she
don't.
actually listens. This idea, Chester, that she, listens. She actually listens to him. That's worth a lot to a man, especially a man like that. That's worth a lot.
Well, to be fair, his wife kind of looks like a man too.
Maybe he likes masculine women. Maybe that's just his jam.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm looking, Alan. Yeah, I haven't ever seen a picture of where she looks good. She looks really bad. Which once again, it doesn't matter if he's happy. That's all that matters in that conversation. To be
He
fair,
also has a lot of plastic surgery. A
she has a
lot.
ton of plastic surgery. I don't
Yeah.
understand these women and this nonsense they do with their lips. I mean, look at this shit. Why do they
Yeah.
keep doing that? Who told these women that looks good? Who told
This
women that your lips looking like you just got stung by a bee looks good?
the same person who told them to get their septums pierced. That same
Yeah, and the
same
same
guy.
assholes said, put someone else's fat in your ass. That'll look great. It's
Yes.
so outrageous. This current look of beauty in America is not good, and it's completely invasive, right? Look at all the Trump girls, not all of them, right? Ivanka, Melania, and the young girl. Well, they're young, but look at all those Trump women. Same shit, dude. Surgery everywhere. They got the strings in their faces, pulls their skin back. The giant. It looks horrible. They look horrible. It's like a freaking freak show, dude.
Yep.
I just don't understand this, this nonsense. Like I said, it doesn't really matter. I don't really care. It's his business. I mean, obviously, uh, but it is weird. Anyway, yes, no, yes, no. Okay, moving on.
Nobody asked for this. Nobody asked for that.
No, especially this annoying, bitchy woman. Yeah. Um, yeah, this is comic book related. I know it's been a while, but I figured I should do it occasionally.
Marvel fans, retailers need to boycott Marvel Comics over X-Men and Ms. Marvel. Why?
Yeah. Well, this has been going on a long time, to be fair. But basically, they're having Miss Marvel travel back in time and fix the whole X-Men problem, they think, with the death of Jean Grey. Of course, that is sacred cow territory. And of course, she's going to come in and she's going to fix it and solve all these idiots making these stupid, silly X-Men doing silly, silly stuff. She knows what's best, and the actual comic book fans who are still holding on for Marvel, boy, you are dedicated. Are upset and up in arms about it, but I mean, let's be fair, guys. Every character in Marvel has been made female in the comic books and in the movies. It isn't 100% yet, but it's coming, right? They've all been replaced, or they've all been made gay, or both, often both. They're all female. They're all gay in some way or another. They have comic after comic, which isn't heroes doing heroic thing. It's girls having frickin' tea parties. This is your Marvel comic books today. It's absolute nonsense talking about diverse. They'll have an entire series of comics talking about how you misgendered me and I need to explain to and educate you. Entire series based on this concept. It is lost, beyond lost. The only thing that will help Marvel in any way, shape, or form, and same with Star Wars, is for Disney to sell it and someone with a frickin' sense to buy it. And keep in mind, we haven't heard anything about Marvel being on the table, but Star Wars is 100% confirmed. They are trying to pitch sales of Star Wars to various people with money, and I'm happy for the concept, but I'm terrified of who would buy it. Unless it's a Saudi
Yep.
prince, and then cool, have at it. Because they won't gate up. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say on it. I
That's
mean,
it.
They're upset about once again a sacred cow getting burned to the ground by a bunch of lesbian feminists. Dude, this has been going on for freaking a decade, dude. More. They've completely obliterated Marvel Comics. It's obliterated. But yeah, go ahead and boycott. Have at it.
Boycott it. Do it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say on that. Let's take a look at what Oscars won what, shall we? No?
2025 Oscar winners include Dune Part 2, The Substance, and more.
Now, this headline is very deceptive because when we come down here and take a look, it's not really what they're trying to imply. Best Picture, Anora.
Yep.
Actress in a leading role, Anora. Directing, Anora. Now, you'll see Anora show up further on. But what is Anora? Well, it's a movie about a prostitute and how prostituting is great for everyone and it's real work and you should respect them because they're prostitutes.
No.
Indie film, didn't make no money, no one saw it. I
I
haven't
don't
seen
think
the
I would.
film, but I kind of imagine Anora's probably a lesbian. I would get what odds would you put on that Anora is also a lesbian?
Yep.
Yeah, pretty high. So all right, once again, having a movie when no one has seen win at the Oscars isn't new. But what happens usually at the Oscars is people see, oh, I've never heard of that movie, and they go watch it. And usually the rating for the movie goes up because people, oh yeah, that was pretty good, right? That's normal. Not happening this time, of course, because it's just crap woke feminism nonsense. What else we got here? Adrian Brody. I like Adrian. Do you like Adrian?
Yes. He's a good actor.
He is a good actor in The Brutalist. Do you know what that's about? We got a actor in a leading role and best music, original score. Do you know what that
I
movie's
believe
about?
it's about an architect who
Mhm.
was making something. I can't remember, but it's just Hollywood trying to glorify ugly again
Yeah,
because brutalism is ugly.
it
should
is.
be abolished worldwide.
It is. They added in a little twist that he and his family were escaping Jews from the Holocaust. Yeah.
Of course they were.
And of course he gets attacked and beaten and cheated because everyone hates the Jews, which turns out is true. They think he even gets raped in the movie. He gets
Lovely.
raped. Yeah, wonderful.
Just what everybody wants to watch.
And of course, it's about the success of bringing in the brutalist architectural style, which I staunchly stand up and will scream to the mountains about how bad an idea that was. Please, let's go back to Art Deco. That was better. How about we even go further back? Go back to the Greco-Roman revival. How about that? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But brutalism, of course, is what we call our modern architectural style because it's ugly and soulless. And that's what the movie ultimately is about. Adrian Brody's pretty good. So this is probably one of those Hollywood movies no one's heard about. But if you went and watched it, you're probably like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good. So at least it got some recognition because this thing I've heard is absolute crap.
Yeah.
Anora, right?
Mhm.
Whereas people are saying good things about that. I'm Still Here is a mom who's an activist, of course, in Brazil, and her husband and son go missing because they're politically active, and it's when in Brazil a dictator is taking over. International feature
So
film,
now,
best winner. Yeah,
currently,
right now, current. Yeah, cinematography, The Brutalist. I'm Not a Robot, live action short film. I've never heard of it. You?
nope,
Do you care me to check it out?
nope.
Fair enough. Visual effects, Dune Part 2. Probably true. I mean, it was. I don't know, though. I saw the first one, and the visuals are stunning, but they're also brown.
Oh yeah, it's dude. Could be a lot of brown.
Lots of
Um,
brown, and incredibly boring
No,
movie.
I agree. I agree. The The visuals, I actually, well, I haven't seen the Brutalist, so I'm surprised that Dune didn't get cinematography, because that's what he's really good at. He's a phenomenal
Right.
cinematographer.
That is true. That's his best thing. So that is interesting. The Brutalist, but it's probably their message. They don't like giving awards to popular films. They don't like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I have no interest in watching Doom Part Two because the first one didn't interest me at all. The
Well,
original was great.
the second one, the thing that I'll give it credit for, obviously the cinematography, the visual effects, that's all good. I really like uh Timothy's how he pulls off our boy Paul, because I don't know. The worst part about it is Big Nose, of course, Zendaya, and way too much her. They don't let her be Chani at all. Um,
Of course they don't.
there's just
Chani
too
was
much problems
submissive
there.
and helpful.
Yes, too much problems there. But he is really good, and when he turns it on and he decides I'm gonna be the Lisan Al Galib, I'm gonna do it. He does it, and I think he pulls it off. Honestly, I think he becomes the messianic character that he needs to be, because that's what Paul does. Uh, I just think that part's really well done. I liked what they did with the mother, right? Because she plays a pivotal role, of course. Uh, I think there was a lot of really, really good parts.
Yeah.
Overall, I really liked it, but she's just so annoying.
Well,
Like, it's so annoying how much she's in this movie for no reason. She
yeah,
adds
no,
nothing
I
to it.
can't stand
Nothing.
Zendaya. No one can, dude. That's why the Shrek
Yeah.
movie trailer bombed instantly. It wasn't because of anything other than her, right? And they
Yep.
put in kind of a trans version of Shrek dancing over a city, which was weird. But anyway, but no, I just had no interest in watching it. And the funny thing is we can't. Well, there was a TV series and some other stuff, but in general, we can't get past the first damn book with Dune, because
Yep.
if you read the series, you realize that Paul Atreides is not the Mohadeep.
Right.
It's his grandson.
Correct. Correct, sir. You are correct, sir.
I am.
You
But
are correct, sir.
I'm glad that the kid is, doing his thing. He's just another little sawed-off twerp, though.
Yep.
That's a manlet right there. That's a mega manlet. Tom Holland
He's a
looks like a
small boy.
freaking giant.
He's a small boy. But I'll tell you, he does it's one of those things, like kind of like Tom Cruise, right? He's a little manlet,
He can sell it,
but he
though. You're right.
but he can sell it. And I think Timothy does a really good job in this, especially
Hey,
the
good for
second
him.
half of that movie, where he starts to fill that role and he starts to really get because the thing that he needs is authority. He needs to be imperious, right?
Yes,
To
he
get all
needs to
these
be
people to just
imperious. Yeah.
obey him. And I think he does a pretty good job. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than I expected it to be. That's
Well,
for sure.
I
A lot better.
knew that they were gonna give us Zendaya all day in that movie.
Yeah.
I knew. That's why I didn't watch it. Anyway, documentary feature film, No Other Land. It's probably something about Muslims, I'm assuming. Short film, The Only Girl in the Orchestra. Mm-hmm. 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 Is
Mhm.
this? Let me guess. Lesbianism or men bad? Sure. Music, original songs. Of course, Amelia Perez. Lovely.
Mm.
Production design, wicked. Fair enough, I guess. Um,
Fine.
yeah, fine. Once again, why didn't Dune get a shot at that? Because
I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
the production design is amazing. But Wicked,
It is.
whatever. That's not outrageous. Actress in a supporting role, Zoe Saldana and Emily Perez. Now, Emily Perez is about the cartel boss that becomes a transgender. And that particular dude who plays the main character, is an absolute toxic human being in
Lovely.
reality, right? And Zoe Saldana has always been so full of herself and so proud of herself. I mean, I remember listening to her do an interview for Guardians of the Galaxy, right? And they had a whole string of them. They talked to the whole cast. And it was like, yeah, it's fun, man. Come out. It's a great, fun action movie. We have lots of great jokes. It's a great chemistry. What you would expect for Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Because it's just a comedy action film. And they all took it that way. But her interview was like, I think this character is incredibly important, and I'm very proud to embody Gamora. And she just the vapid self-important bullshit that you see come out of Hollywood just spewed out of her damn mouth. And every time I see her speak, it's the same. I'm so proud. This is such an important moment in history for black people, or what did she say? For Cubans or whatever she is, or Nicaraguans or Hondurans. I think she's Honduran. Um, but she and gave a stupid speech at the Oscars as well, or the Golden Globes, or whatever it was. I saw some thing where she was talking. It was like, please shut up. But I've seen clips from this movie. If you guys haven't, I have. It's god awful, dude. See, I've seen clips from this Honora as well. And it's just kind of vapid, Hollywood bullshit. It's fine, really, if you can stomach it. It's not like it's bad acted or anything like that, right? This freaking thing, dude, this freaking thing is bad. And the music is bad. And we know she can sing, by the way.
Hmm.
It's bad, 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 dude. It's like bad off Broadway. But they had to back it because of the transgender theme. Because that's the whole movie. It's about him transitioning. That's the whole flick, right?
Right.
It's wow. This girl Zoe Saldana, Saldana, she is 100% out of touch with humanity. 100%. She's so self-important human, right?
Yep.
This is
Yep.
like Gamora. I'm so happy to embody Gamora. It's a very important point in history for this character. She's green. She's a warrior. And then in the third one, you betray Star-Lord 100%, cuck him out, and everyone's supposed to be smile and be happy about it. Yeah, good job.
Yep.
Wonderful. Good job, James Gunn, bastard. Now, makeup and hairstyle. This is such a lame category to put the substance in because I've seen the substance. Have you?
I have not.
Okay. It's one of the best body horror movies we've had in a very, very long time. And there is some vapid nonsense about it, but which is the kind of the point of the movie, actually, the vapidness of Hollywood. This is more of a critique of Hollywood than anything. But the special effects and makeup work and all that kind of stuff is stellar. It should have won several of these categories, actually, for the makeup and special effects. It's really good. Just for that, you should watch it. Just for that. And like I said, it is a critique on the vapid nature of Hollywood. That's what the movie really is. And so that's good. But yeah, the substance should have won more. It's ridiculously good body horror. And good
Yep.
on Demi Moore for putting her vanity aside and doing it, to be fair.
Well, check cleared.
Yeah, but I mean, that movie really puts her out there, dude, because it's her raw to the world, right?
Yeah.
And she signed up for that, so you got to give her credit. Let's see here, Conclave. Now, this movie bombed horribly. It's considered to be one of the most boring movies that came out last year. It's about a pope dying and them electing a new one. Of course, the twist at the end is they do elect a new pope, but it's actually a woman disguised as a man.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, of course. That would explain a lot, though. Anyway, Nora, more crap. Wicked, costume design, fine. In the Shadow of the Cypress, no idea. Animated feature Flow. Never heard of it. You?
Nope.
And actor in a supporting role, Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain. Now, Kieran Culkin sounds real familiar to me.
He's Macaulay Culkin's brother, I think.
Is he?
I do believe so.
Then he's not the one I was thinking then.
I
Oh,
do
this guy.
believe
Oh,
so.
this guy. Yeah, I saw he won the Oscar. And dude, now that you say it, I see it. 100%. Little sawed off midget having a beard trying to look big. So, but one thing I'll say, This guy got up in front of the Oscars, and I'm sure they hated it, and had a great little bit about how much he loves his wife. How dare he even
How dare he? What a piece of. You know what? Kick him off the stage.
kick
Get
him
him out
out?
of here.
Just kick him out. And he was funny, and he was quite witty and sharp and quick. I was like, cool. What have you done for your brother lately? Because he's an absolute train wreck. Although the Red Letter Media guys have kind of got him a little bit back on track. I know I've had some pushback against that, but I truly believe those guys saved his life, man.
Probably.
Yeah, I do. Maple Chic is being anti-Semitic again. Tom Holland is a young James Bond in the 007 college years. Maple Chic. Dune, where's my car? Fair enough, Alan. I miss the old McDonald's. Maple Chic continues. He's the little kid drinking Pepsi in Home Alone. Oh, is he? Hey, I'm a sawed-off midget with a beard, Alan says. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, I do feign sympathy for you little people. You know, too much.
This
Yeah.
guy, huh?
Well, he
Can't
does
take
look like
him anywhere.
can't take me anywhere. He does look exactly like his brother, though, huh? Yeah. I didn't
He
even
looks
know
a lot
there
like.
was another Culkin. Good Irish name though. But I did like his little speech thing he did. It was cute. It was nice. It was very family. And he and his wife love each other, and they're going to be making babies. Yeah, that's the deal. He won an Oscar. She got to give him 2 more. He's like, very well. All right. But it was cute. Anyway, so we have that. And then, of course, that's all I got. I could bring up, it's just not a good season, but I'll bring up Box Office Mojo just in case something happened. I don't think so, though. But this month we might be getting a film or two, April for sure. Let's take a look here. We got that Mickey 17, which a lot of people like the trailer. It's got Pattinson in it, and like I said, he's done. I've seen a couple things I like him in. Batman, of course, and the Lighthouse. I'm not the biggest fan of him though, although he could win me over potentially. But that Mickey 17 trailer came out. It had very mixed opinions. Some people really liked it. There was something about it I didn't like though. I don't know what it was. It just put me off. I can't put a finger on it. Did you see that trailer?
I did. I did. The trailer was fine. I hear it's kind of meh. The film
Well, it's
kind of meh.
not had a good weekend.
Yeah.
You
Not
sh-
making the money they wanted it to. That's for sure.
even for an indie film, that's a tight weekend, right?
Oof.
But
Captain America. Oof. That's not a good number. That's not a
no,
good.
that is lose, and of course it's done. Its run is over. So, yeah, they didn't make their money. They lost money on that again. Rule Breakers, not making money. Night of the Zoopocalypse. Boy, howdy, that sounds like a name. Is this one of those Skinaflix type of? No, it's an animated film.
PG.
Interesting. That's a low amount for an animated film. They usually pick up a little bit more than that, huh?
Usually.
In the Lost Lands, a B movie. A queen sends the powerful and feared sorceress Gray Ellis. Gray Ellis is your sorceress. To the ghostly wilderness of the Lost Lands in search of magical power, where the sorceress and her guide, the drifter Boyce. Well, that's probably what lost your money right there. Must outwit and outfight man and man. Get that man. Okay. But it's probably just a dumb B movie, like an asylum movie or something. Matter of fact, who made it? Does it say? Oh, Vertical Entertainment. Yeah, it's B crap. But
Yep.
they usually do a little better than that though. Oh, it's a bad weekend. It's just early March. The Rule of Jenny Penn. Oof. Ephus. Okay, that was only in 2 theaters, fair enough. On Becoming a Guinea Fowl, only 4 theaters, fair enough. And The Visitor, 2025 re-release, boy, only in 3 films. That is low for 3 theaters. That is low. Um,
Yeah.
but it's one of these indie things. They're having their little indie, get together parties and stuff, and they're just putting out this kind of crap. And it's fine. Um, to each his own, right? But we just haven't hit
Right.
our stride yet. Let's see what's coming up. Top movies. Let's see. Recent release date changes. Let's see here what we got coming. So here in March, we got Romeo and Juliet, which is from Bearcliff, based on a real story that inspired Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Follows the great love story of all time, as set as an original pop musical. Oh, that's going to make lots of money, I'm sure. Although I don't know, Americans love them that musical. You ever understood that?
No, no, and I never will. Um, it's just miserable. I don't understand. It's just one of those things. Like, why are we singing and dancing in the middle of everything that's going on? Like, what? Why?
Yeah,
It's
my
just one of
wife
those things.
doesn't get it
Yeah.
at all either. But all right, we got The Ruse. And an in-home caregiver fears for her life after being assigned to a mysterious elderly patient in a remote seaside home. Horror movie, mystery thriller. All right,
Interesting.
maybe. I like horror movies, even the bad ones.
Even the bad.
Um, even the bad ones. This was supposedly already released. We're past that date. Have you heard of an untitled Spider-Man release sequel? I haven't.
I have not. I have not. So we
Unless
will
this
see.
is talking about Venom.
I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know.
Untitled.
It'd be
These are already
nice
passed.
if, because apparently there was nothing stopping them from using Spider-Man and the Venom stuff. Would be nice to actually maybe possibly get some kind of like maybe even if you did Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man after the Avengers stuff. Be kind of nice to have somebody somewhere be willing to fight over it and maybe have those two go off with it.
Yeah, no, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
No.
Seeing as Sony seems to be saying we're not going to deal with any of that crap, we're only making Spider-Man movies, which is unfortunate because the idea for doing stuff around Spider-Man is great. You just didn't do it right, dude.
Right. Yeah. Not at all. Especially with Venom. Ugh.
Roger, Pixar is still a movie studio. They're just making crap.
Garbage. Garbage, garbage, garbage.
Yeah, that is fair enough, Alan. Now we looked at this before, but this is from 5 days ago. Let's take a look and see if there's anything that pops out to us. This bombed already.
Yep.
Den of Thieves 2. Didn't see the first one, did you?
Nope. I did not.
September 5. Isn't that about like dead Jews? Yeah, Munich Olympics, yeah. Wolfman absolutely bombed. Flight Risk. Is that Mark Wahlberg?
That is. That's the man himself.
Directed by Mel Gibson, though, dude. I
Nice.
might have to go check that out.
Old Mel.
Yeah. Presence. This came out in January. Companion. No. No, please no. Heart Eyes. Why? Bridget Jones. Don't do that to me again. What are you
They're
doing?
doing it. I get it.
The
They, in
women
fact, get
make
it.
me watch these movies. I don't want to watch it. You already seen this one. This one came out and bombed horribly because everyone said it's kind of boring and
Right.
uninteresting, which is weird because it's like a sci-fi action movie. Paddington Bear, of course. Cleaner, this bombed so hard, dude. Basically, they tried to take Daisy Ridley and make her Bruce Willis in Die Hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
Well, of course not. She's not much of an actress. She's kind of boring, and she looks like a boy. And they didn't. And the thing is, I've seen them try to put long hair on her. It doesn't help.
No.
It's shocking, But like I said, she was chosen because she looks like a boy. That's why they chose
Yes.
her. Monkey. I haven't. I'm going to watch this. I've heard it's interesting. It's an Indian film, and it's trying to be John Wick-esque without being John Wick.
Right.
So I'm going to check it out. Reviews have been kind of mixed. I do have access to it. Last Breath. This is a deep sea thingy with our favorite, Simu Liu. It's going to be great, I'm sure. Of course, Mickey 17. Black Bag. I recognize that dude. That's Kate Blanchett. Okay, Fassbender. Michael Fassbender. He's getting old, dude.
He is.
He's got
It
Pierce
happens.
Bronson and Tom Brooke. Look at all these actors. This is a salary movie, dude.
Oh
Without
yeah.
question.
They just
Yeah.
made their money and ran.
Yeah. Electric State, of course, is getting bombed, but who knows? Novocaine. Jack Quaid. Now this is right now. This is a B movie. You think they'll release this?
Yes.
You think? It's
Yeah,
going to
it's
be a
too close
freaking
now.
tragedy, dude. It's going to be a tragedy.
Close now. It's only 2 weeks away, Chester. Not even. Yeah, 2 weeks away. Might as well. Might as well do it. Might as well.
You think? Now, one thing I did, a little clip I saw from the Oscars, maybe you saw it as well. Ziegler here and Gal Gadot came out to announce to give some Oscar, and they walked out from behind the curtain, and holy shit, dude. Gal came out walking. She's been trained how to walk properly, right? She's
Right.
elegant, tall, statuesque,
Almost regal.
almost regal. And here comes this little slouching goblin besides her. I'm shocked how small Ziegler actually is. She's real teeny. But just this freaking goblin walking next to her. And it's like, did no one ever teach? This girl's an actress. Did no one ever teach her how to walk in heels? Or just walk in general? Did no one bother? I mean, it's kind of standard acumen, is it not?
You would think, yeah. You would think, but it's like they don't teach them anything anymore. It's crazy.
It is, dude. I mean, but Gal was like bang on. That's how an actress walks out on the stage. Boom. You go, girl.
Own it.
Oh yeah,
Take
no,
it.
she looked
Show
great.
it.
She looked great. But I mean, this little goblin just kind of slouched and twitching next to her. It was like perfectly the worst thing. And of course, she's so proud of herself. She has no self-awareness whatsoever, this girl. Ash. Ooh, looks like a horror movie, dude. Aaron
Ooh.
Paul. It's got Aaron Paul in it.
Could be good. Could be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, maybe. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Go to hell, Robert. You ruined your legacy. You burned every bridge. Death of a Unicorn. I saw people talking about this, and the reviews are really mixed on it. It's literally a horror movie about a unicorn. Literally,
Nice.
right?
Nice.
It's one of those trapped in the house movies, but the threat is not some slasher. It's a unicorn. Yeah, I know. But I've seen the trailer. It's like, Jenna Ortega is popular right now. I don't think I've seen anything from her. Can you name a film I've seen of hers? She's popular now, I know.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I cannot.
I think she mainly got her hit from that Wednesday Addams thing.
Hmm.
And I didn't watch it because I'm just not interested in adult Wednesday.
Yeah.
It does the whole shtick is she's a kid. That's the whole shtick, right? But whatever. People liked it though. And Paul Rudd, I like Paul. Like I said, I saw the thing. It might be fun. I might well watch it. She's got that ring going on though, dumbass. The Woman in the Yard. Okie dokie. This is a foreign movie. Oh yeah, I'm definitely down for this. Chuck Dixon adaptation by Sylvester Stallone, directed by David Ayer, with our boy Jason Statham. So yeah, it's got Michael Pena in it as well. And oof, holy crap! How hard is this going to hit, and how much hate is this going to get? You think? Minecraft. Alrighty. Well, I think we've kind of seen some of the stuff that's coming up. And we did check. I didn't like the first movie. I don't think I'll like this one. Until Dawn, another zombie flick. Havoc could be good though. I mean, Tom Hardy can be good. Timothy Oliphant, I do like. Forrest Whitaker, 3 bangers, dude.
Potentially.
This is dumb because the Thunderbolts are supposed to be basically Suicide Squad, and she even this actress here, I don't know her name, but Florence Pugh, is that her name? But she even mentions in the trailer how we've all done bad things. Well, not really. If you look at everybody here and what criminal things have they done? It's kind
Parking
of
tickets.
well, it kills your premise, right? I mean, what did this U.S. agent is what he is? What did he do? He killed a terrorist. Okie dokie.
Right.
Bucky is controlled by Russians. Okay,
How dare
this guy drinks too much, eats too much. Once again, mind controlled, robot. None of these people have actually committed crimes other than maybe her. It's such a broken premise. They should all be actual criminals. That's the point. Oh, did you see this trailer, dude? Are you with me?
Nope. Sorry, I was looking at something. I'm
That's all right.
crashing out actually.
I can hear that. I'm about to shut it off.
Yeah.
But the Surfer trailer with our boy Nick, he comes with the
Your
bangers,
boy.
dude. This movie looks good.
Could be.
Hardcore
Could be.
Nick freaking Cage, dude. The Surfer. Go check it
You
out.
never know with old Nick. You never know. Sometimes it's masterpiece.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not that.
Sometimes it's
that.
not. Tony Todd back in another Final Destination movie. Oh boy. Alrighty. Lilo and Stitch. This was mentioned at the Super Bowl, and it came out of nowhere.
Yep.
It came out of nowhere.
Yep.
Live action though. Of course, Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning and Fear Street. Now, fuck all these Fear Street movies. It's pure woke bullshit. Karate Kid, maybe.
Could be good.
It could be. This foreign movie, maybe. Ballerina, I have no interest whatsoever. Fuck you, give me
Not
John
even
Wick.
a little bit.
No. How to Train Your Dragon, we already know they woke this shit up. It's going to piss the
That's so
fans
stupid.
off incredibly.
So stupid.
It is.
Why did they make this? Why did they make
Pixar, maybe? Yeah, Pixar.
Maybe.
28 years later, people loving that trailer, though.
Yep.
Megan 2, the first one I liked. Did you see it? It's actually not bad. It's fun little twist on Chucky.
No, I did see the first one. It's okay. I didn't
Yeah, it's
hate
fine.
it, but I
It's a
didn't love it
popcorn.
either.
It's a popcorn flick. But no,
Yeah.
it's a robot gone bad. It's a good
We've
little popcorn
seen
flick.
that before.
We have,
many
but
times.
it wasn't bad though.
No, he did a good job.
Yeah, they did a good job
Did a
with
good
it. F1, Kidoki, with Brad Pitt. It could be good. Brad's pretty good. No interest in Jurassic, whatever, and Superman. That's coming this year?
Yep.
Holy shit,
July.
dude. How big a bomb is this going to be? You never know. They might pull it off, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Whatever.
Another Smurf movie?
Yeah, okay, fine. This is coming this year?
Yep.
Really?
That's what they keep threatening us with.
They are threatening us. Bad guys. I'm pretty sure my kids watched the first one.
Right.
I think, and I thought it was eh. And there we go. And they're rebooting Naked Gun. Yeah, or they're
Nobody asked you
re-releasing. They're re-releasing Naked Gun. No, what? It
No,
says
they're rebooting it. Yeah.
with Liam Neeson, who is Liam Neeson. Oh, whew, okay, it threw me for a second. Liam Neeson. I don't know. Does he got? I wonder. Has he got comedy chops? You think?
Yeah, he can be funny. We'll see. We will see.
Cool. Well, anyway, thank you all very much. That was fun. And it's once again just keeping an eye on what's going on politically around the world. And of course, there's a lot going on. And take a look at it. Entertainment news. I think this year is going to be better though for entertainment. I really do. I have no
Hopefully.
hope for the comic books at all. But for the movies, I think we're going to get some fun stuff this year. And when I watch something I like, I will bring on and review it a little bit here. You should do the same, Thunder.
I will. I will.
Yeah, just put
I
together a
will
little
indeed.
presentation, Um,
I
uh,
will indeed. I don't
yeah,
know how much I'm going to see this year, but we'll see.
yeah,
We
but
will see.
just keep in mind there is I don't know what you have for PowerPoint or anything like that, but if you don't have that built into whatever computer you have, do keep in mind you can just go pick up WPS for free. Right?
Yep.
It does exactly the same thing. It's actually criminal how much it is the same. And you could put a little PowerPoint together and kind of say, this or that. You could do that. I do it.
Good.
And I'm an
Good. We'll
old
see.
dude.
He's an old man.
I am.
He's an old man,
Well,
folks.
2 days we're going to be doing Dungeons and Dragons, of course, continuing with Dolmenwood. And then
Yep.
later on this week, we're doing Drone Recorder Ultimate Edition. I forget. But, artists are great. And we talk about stupid shit. So come on back. Take us out of here, man.
Come on back. I'm going to do this one because it's easy. Every sunset leads to dawn.
It does indeed. Namaste. Later, everybody.